Welcome to the Positively Star Wars Senate podcast. This is Obi-Wan Kenobi. May the Force be with you.
Looky, Senator. Decent Jedi arriving.
Let's make this our best show ever!
I will sign no treaty, Senator.
I am the Senate.
This is the way.
Okay, well, let's get the road on the show. The road on the show? The show on the road. Okay. Right, so hello everybody and welcome to the November edition of the Positively Star Wars Senate. Joining me this month, we have Ricky.
Hello.
Ryan.
Hi, everybody.
Tony.
Hello there.
And Ron.
Hello, fellow senators.
And of course, my name is Stephen, the obligatory Brit that on the Senate. And as usual, we will kick it off by going round the table and see what everybody's been up to in Star Wars land since the last month. Actually, it's a bit more than a month since it is a month since the last month. I can't remember, but roughly the last month. And I'll go in the same order that I just gave everybody's names. So, Ricky, let's hear what Star Warsy things you've got to in the last month.
Let me see. We're still continuing our marathon, almost to the Rise of Skywalker, but we're mid-season 2 of Resistance, which watching that show's been fun again because I think I just watched them once, the one time through, and I did enjoy them, but like rewatching them again, like there's a lot of story in there that I think the first time I kind of missed, but yeah, it's really good. That and catching up on the comic books, went through the High Republic stuff. Played a little bit of Battlefront this month, and that's pretty much it. I don't think there's anything else that I did, really. Yeah, I didn't
Aside
dress
from
up.
what we're going to talk about later, yes.
Yeah, I didn't dress up for Halloween as a Star Wars character this year, sadly, but I was in spirit. I don't know. But yeah, no, that, and then just, I did get my wife bought me some oven mitts that were Mandalorian, which are pretty cool, so... That's my swag from this month.
Some oven mitts,
Yeah.
Oven gloves, basically. Yeah.
I'm gonna try to take the kitchen over it under
Are they made
Star
of
Wars.
Beskar?
I hope so I don't burn my hand.
It would be very.
You,
be pretty hard to use,
definitely
wouldn't
want to make sure that they're allowed for ovens because
No,
there's
yeah, they
been
are.
some oven mitts at least
Yeah, I
collect
use
that
them
were
on my
collector's
grill.
items.
So.
They burn people.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know they work. But yeah, that's pretty much been it. It's been kind of a short month. So.
Okay. Right. Yes. Okay. Ryan.
All right. So my Star Wars this week is besides catching up, reading all the comics and staying up to date. I purchased 2 collector's editions of the Star Wars Smugglers Guide book and the Rebel Files book. So someone posted like these were it's an Ollie's store, which is just kind of like a resale place. And it had the collector's edition. And it's this really awesome cases for the books where it has like hidden files in them, small things. I know I posted it to the group a little while ago, but there's videos online for them. And it's in the same collection that the Jedi book is. And then the extremely hard to find Sith collector's edition where it's the Holocron. Well, these are the other 2, I guess, less popular ones, but the price dropped from like 60 down to 20. So I picked up both of those, and I'll probably just flip through those books because they're fantastic for all the smugglers background and all sorts of rebel stuff. So like it has like hidden tickets. So it just makes it seem really almost realistic, like it's something that pass around inside the universe. So that's fun.
So it's kind of scrapbooky, kind of different stuff in there.
Yeah, it is. It has a punch ticket for Canto Bight for the casino and stuff like that. So just random little trinkets, little collector's things that came with it. So, but I thought that was a good price. Heck, for the books alone are around that much. So
Yeah,
those would go up on my
price,
shelf.
and I would consider it very lucky that those dropped in Ollie's. Now I don't know Ollie's distribution across the country or whatever, but those dropped in Ollie's a while ago. For you to find that in Ollie's in the month of October was lucky, I'd say, because they probably didn't have they're kind of big, if I recall. They probably didn't have very many of them.
Yeah, they're like the size of a old-fashioned dictionary, but they probably had, I think, the Smuggler's Guide. I got the last one of 2. In the Rebels Guide, there's a little bit more, but it's cool. Great. I mean, the way I don't know if you've seen it, but the Rebels files, when you open it, it's like a briefcase, and then you tap a hidden button and a screen pops up and it projects the Death Star plans on the screen. So it's just neat little things like that where it's like, oh, you're a spy carrying this case around. So I love them. I thought they're really great so far.
How'd you find the hidden button if it's hidden?
Directions.
They do tell you where the hidden button is, don't they? So
Yeah, it can
you
direct you
hit
out.
hidden button. Try and find it.
Use the Force. That's where
Yes,
you find the hidden button.
And the same with the Smuggler one. You have to turn the cover a certain way to unlock the book. And then you press another hidden compartment and it pops up from underneath. And it's got like this cool blue light and it makes all this like neat noise and stuff. Yeah, because they all got lights and noise in them. So they definitely make it feel very in universe. So I liked those. And then other than that, I picked up another Funko Pop to add to my 300 plus collection, Grogu and helmetless Mandalorian. So I now realize I have a whole lot of Mandalorian and Grogu pops. So always building that one up. And I am about a little over halfway through reading Ronin. I picked that up from my library, and I got to say that book is a lot better than I expected to be. And it is very, very enjoyable. Very in-universe. Of course, it's a little bit different, but the story is fantastic so far. And I'm actually very excited to finish it here in the next week or so. So, I don't know, maybe that's something that we can... I doubt a lot of people will read it, but anybody who's wondering, if you have time in between books, I 100% recommend
I missed the title. What do you say? Yes, the Visions book.
Yeah, the Visions sequel to the Duel. So is Ronin. So I 100% recommend it. It's great. So if people have time in between books, definitely cram this one in there.
Is it more of a shorter book, or is it?
No, it's a full size, like 350 page book. So yeah, it's not Visions. Yeah, it's like 330 something. So but yeah, it's a full size book, and it's actually
size,
yeah, and there's actually a lot of words packed in it. It almost seems like single spacing. So it seems it probably could easily be a 500-page book with normal spacing, but they have it really packed in there. It's very dense, but it's loaded with information for that universe and how it follows the character, like the Ronin and other characters that I don't want to say yet. Once you get to chapter 3, there's a big reveal, and it just blows the story open from there. So, and to see their advancement of their powers and everything they can do, and then other characters. It's great. So something to fill till January when the next phase of High Republic drops.
Yes. You just reminded me that I did want to put on my list the Secrets of the Sith book. I haven't got it, but I was thinking about getting that. That looks
that one does look good. I just like how they make it seem real with like the notes from Palpatine and Vader characters. So they're just really fun, very kayfabe books.
Okay. Tony.
You know what? Not much for me. I finally got, being that I just finished, I had been collecting the War of the Bounty Hunters comics, and I had figured I was just going to wait till the whole thing's done to read it, because my memory is not quite what it used to be. So from reading them month to month, I tend to forget stuff, and I don't want to be doing a lot of going back and forth. So I just got the last couple of issues, I don't know, about a week or two ago. And so now I just started that. So we'll see how that goes. But other than that, not much. I tried to see the Boba Fett special that came out on Friday, but I didn't have a chance to. So that's it. Wow. Just starting War of the Bounty Hunters. That's pretty much it. I haven't really been up to too much Star Wars the past couple of months.
That special was really good, by the way. So we'll probably touch on it later.
That's what I hear. Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah, we will be discussing it, but I mean, I think, well, we'll get to it in a minute, but I don't think it's the end of the world if you haven't seen it.
No, I mean, I'm sure it's nothing I haven't heard already or seen already, but it's just, it's nice when they do those types of specials and really put a spotlight on characters like that. So.
Okay. Actually, okay. That reminds me, we haven't discussed. Have we discussed the Book of Boba Fett trainer?
No.
That's coming up as well, isn't it? No. Well,
yeah.
We'll see how things go on that as well. I might have to stick that one in. Okay, Rom.
Hello, fellow senator. So my past Star Wars dalliances. So everyone kind of knows that I enjoy a good Star Wars clearance item sale or whatever, and I usually pick up a number of those things, whatever. So the last month was in October, and at the end of October is Halloween. And Halloween, I enjoy trick or treat. My area that I have, we have the kids come around, everybody doing the trick or treat, and handing for candy. And if you show up in a Star Wars costume for trick or treat, I hook you up. I enjoy that. We get a big giant handful of candy, but I have a stash that I've squirreled away over the years of things that I found on clearance, ridiculous pricing kind of stuff, or whatever, and stash that away and hook the kids up when they stop by with their Star Wars costumes. So this year I ended up. Last year, let's see, I've missed it the past two, so that's why I'm really excited about having been able to do it this year because of COVID, and then we were out of town the previous year. So this year I ended up with, I forget how many, I ended up with an Obi-Wan, a great Obi-Wan, actually. He was the first one that came in, my first Star Wars guy, whatever, so I'm always excited but to see one for the night. Trick-or-treat goes for about 2 hours. So I was really excited to see when he was an older teenage kid or whatever, but he was really dressed up well. So had an Obi-Wan, had two Fetts at the same time. One was a regular Fett and one was a Lego Fett. And I think they might have been brothers that I've seen in past years that they kind of knew what they were doing, the way they talk. But that's fine. That's great that they came and showed up the way they did. I had a Baby Yoda fan. I wasn't quite sure what the costume was, but she had like a jumper on that had, so maybe it was dark, obviously, she had something, and I saw Baby Yoda was like on her jumper. He wasn't holding it, anything with her, but I was excited to see her because I have a bunch of when you say female centric, I have some Rays and Leias and stuff or whatever that, when a Darth Vader shows up, it's not really when I want to give Darth Vader or something or whatever. So I was excited to throw some swag into her bag. A Commander Pyre or a Red Stormtrooper. I wasn't quite sure what he was, but I was very surprised to see him because that costume hasn't been, I don't think, out and about in a while. I haven't been out shopping for costumes in any time recently, and a Darth Vader. So yeah, I had a number of fans. I was truly surprised that I didn't have a true legit Baby Yoda. I thought for sure some family would have dressed their baby up as Baby Yoda just as an easy, cute go-to costume or whatever. But the Mando that came, he was holding a little Squishmallow or some sort of form of a plushy Baby Yoda. But so yeah, I'll post some stuff in the chat or whatever on my swag bag box and stuff, whatever. But I ended up having like dollar store bags, so shoving things in there, and I felt bad because I apologized because Obi-Wan, I was so excited to see Obi-Wan that I gave him way too much stuff, and I apologized to him that sorry to make you have to carry this around all day. He was obviously thrilled to have it or whatever, but that's my fun that I get to have every year at Halloween trick or treat this time or whatever, is to enjoy my Star Wars fans because I like seeing them, and it's interesting to see, especially in a non-movie year, how many kids glom to it or that chose to be a Star Wars character, and then the total disparate characters that I saw. I was very excited to see all of that. So that's my fun dalliance in Star Wars here in the past month.
Ron, you said that Obi-Wan kid was like an older kid, right? Like, do you think it was someone that had been to your house previous years and he knew to dress up in a great costume to come?
So certainly, I've definitely have experience. No, I don't think so. He was truly surprised because if you sometimes you get like a line of kids. Sometimes it's just the one kid coming up, and that's easy because I can talk to them. Sometimes it's like a line, and Obi-Wan's in line. And I'm like, well, hold on a second. So I make him like stand over to the side, which has got to be weirding the kid out. He just wants to come get his candy and go. But it's like, hold on, trust me, it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. So give all the other kids the candy and get out of my hair, get out of my hair, get out of my hair. And then talk to Obi-Wan and say, love your costume. Hold on, I got something for you. So he gets a big giant. The kid will get a big giant handful, from those candy stash. And then I posted in the pictures in the chat. Whatever. I got a Stormtrooper bucket helmet that I filled with a bunch of Star Wars candy. I just dumped that into their bag, and then I'm like, hold on, and then go behind. I got a little area, go behind, and had the bag already, gift bag sort of already made up or whatever. And I don't even remember what I hooked. I know one of the things I hooked him up with. somebody was talking about Ollie's. Well, the Ollie's at some point in time had blown out the Star Wars game that had the Tarkin figure in it. And I had picked up a number of those because they were like $8. It was ridiculous, the price on those. It was actually kind of sad. Could talk about that some other time or whatever. The death of 3 3/4, it seemed, whatever. But picked up a bunch of those. So I hooked him up with one of those games with that figure in it. He'll have no idea that the figure's special or anything. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what kind of fan he is, but I was just excited to give him. But then I'm realizing
I would have just went home.
Yeah.
Why?
He's the one I realize is I'm giving this gift bag with this big giant board game sticking out of it. That, oh man, the poor kid's gonna have to carry this,
I think
thing around the rest, because it was early.
I think you got those at Five Below, because I remember you showing the picture of
those were definitely Ollie's.
Was it Ollie's?
Yeah, those were definitely Ollie's. They like I say, they blew those out for $8.
Yeah, they had stacks of those.
I probably had I'm sure I had a coupon for like 15% off. So yeah, I went a little crazy and overboard there, but that's why I like to do that because that's the kind of item that I can I don't feel too bad about giving away, so to speak, but I know it's going to light up. Hopefully, I think it does. In my mind, it's a huge deal to the kid. It could just go home and go, what is this? I just needed a costume. I don't know, but I have. So somebody asked about the reoccurring. I have had. It didn't happen this year. It's been a year or two ago, where somebody came by and the little girl was dressed in Star Wars, and the older brother that was walking her around asked if I still gave out Star Wars stuff, and I said, "Oh yeah." So I hooked her up with a bunch of stuff, and he told me the story that he remembered when he was little and came around trick or treating that he was dressed as Star Wars, and I hooked him with stuff. Hooked him up with stuff. So there's definitely some semblance of remembering. The two Boba Fett's, like I say, I'm pretty sure those are brothers that I've seen in years past that I obviously can't tell because they're in costume, but just the way they're talking and the mom that's with them and all that sort of stuff, I kind of think I have seen them in the past because the one year, the one kid was Star Wars, the other kid wasn't. He's telling me all about how he loves Star Wars, and he's got the Star Wars this and Star Wars that, and I felt bad after the fact, but I'm like, nope, I got to make this, be the thing. I hooked the Star Wars brother costume up and told the other guy, I like Star Wars too, And I really think later in the evening, as things were winding down, there's not as many kids. And I'm pretty sure they came back, and the older brother just put his hood like up over his head, and kind of sheepishly walked up all alone by himself, and kind of held out his bag for trick or treat, and just got some Star Wars swag just so that his little brother could have something, because I'm sure he's probably in the car carrying on about it all night or whatever. But such as it is. So that's my fun. That's my dalliance in Star Wars for the past month, is handing out my Star Wars swag at trick or treat time. It's so much fun.
Which Obi-Wan was it? Which costume?
Which Obi-Wan? Oh, he cloaked. So old Ben Obi-Wan. It's easy.
Old Ben, okay.
Yeah, throw a robe on. He had a legit lightsaber, and didn't get into. I don't want to be the creepy. 50 years old with a head of gray hair. I just don't want to be the creepy old guy going, "Oh, show me your costume." So really, really weirding somebody out kind of thing, whatever. So I just in and out real quick. But he was Obi-Wan, so that seals the deal for me right there, whatever. And then I had a pretty decent robe, pretty decent cloak. Could have been a Hollywood Studios, a Disney store purchase, something, whatever. I don't think it wasn't homemade, whatever. And then his saber was a legit saber. It was not a toy saber. It could have been one. It could have been a Black Series type of saber. But again, didn't get into it. Sometimes I'm a Star Wars dressed up, and sometimes if I run out of time, I throw on a hockey team jersey or a sports team jersey and call myself, a fan or something, and hand out candy that way.
Yeah, cool.
That's awesome.
I hope you don't critique. You don't critique them too much, Ron. Do you say wrong kind of lightsaber? Go home and rethink your life.
No. The one thing that I did hook a bunch
of like your costume is not canon.
The one thing that I did hook a bunch of people up, and then I realized I probably should have looked into those. There was a like a terrible picture of it, but a Black Series pilot Chewie, and I think it was a Target exclusive. And I remember picking a number, Target's famous for clearing stuff out just to clear the shelves and on to the next thing or whatever. And, what was probably 30, I don't know, he was expensive and he was blown out for on the cheap. So picked them all up, whatever. And then I'm realizing somewhere after paying, that probably still has something to it. But again, I truly, honestly do it for the kids to keep. I lived through an era where Star Wars wasn't a thing anymore. You know, it was the dark times, so to speak. So some part of me, and trying to analyze why I do it, or some part of me I think is just to help keep it alive, or, you know, just to inspire, not inspire, but to spark some interest into a kid. And otherwise, because they don't see any of this sort of stuff in the stores. The stores are so hard to come by the things anymore these days. So yep, had my share of fun this month.
How many visitors do you get, Ron?
It was a lot this year because I was getting scared.
Queue, by the way, what you give out, I can imagine a great big queue.
You don't know that. So as a kid, you don't necessarily know that there's giant handfuls of candy coming your way or any of the Star Wars stuff or whatever. So that is a worry of mine, that it sort of would get out there, and then like next year everybody would be in like a Star Wars costume. But yeah, I'd give away all my tub of stash or whatever to some extent. But no, it does not seem like it, you know, that there's anyone pre-plans or pre-games. The queue, or just the sheer number of kids. Yeah, I was scared this year. I broke into my secret stash of personal candies that I like to have, or, you know, I'll buy a bag of candy that I know I like that can sit around for the next 3 months or so, you know, or that the family likes, me and everybody likes, whatever, just in case. And yeah, I got to that because we had I guess kids were pent up this year, COVID, not getting to do it too much last year, whatever. So yeah, that first hour went quick, and I'm like through the 5 big giant bags of candy I already have. I'm like, I'm gonna have to slow down. I'm guilty of like handing the tiny little toddler that can barely walk the same size handful of candy. My wife has to remind me, yeah, that kid doesn't really need all that. You know, you give them like 1 or 2 pieces. I'm like, yeah, you're right. They're not, you know, the teenagers that come with the worst thing you can do if you're trick-or-treating for the public service announcement is the pillowcase. While the pillowcase holds a lot of candy, it doesn't, when you hold it in front of somebody to drop the candy in, it's like sealed shut. You can't get, you know, a handful of candy in there. It's such a pain. But anyway, the teenagers that show up with their pillowcase or just trick-or-treating with a very terrible costume, I still hook them with a big giant handful of candy because I don't want them to revisit the house and toilet paper it later.
I suppose the last big question I have, Ron, is what do you do if somebody comes dressed up in the Star Trek costume?
Have you seen that? I need to have it at the ready. That George Lucas video with Seth Meyers and his group at the writers' table, and the guy brings up Mara Jade, and he says, "Get out! I want you out, out." That's. I go into that crazy rant. No. I hook the kid. He doesn't get any swag. He gets candy.
They get gummies instead of chocolate.
He's suffered enough.
He's the one I say you may want to go home and rethink your life. Why didn't I come up with that line? That's the line.
Excellent. It's always great to hear. Must be fantastic, man. I suppose it depends where you are. Different areas do different things. I know some people in my area, you know, make a big thing out of it. But generally, not many people do. So, but. It's great what you do. I think it's really makes me feel like Halloween, even though I don't participate in it. Brings a little bit of Halloween spirit alive. I think. Do you get any adults turn up, Ron? Can I some adults turn up?
Not so much in costume. No, they're running with their kids. But yeah, no, the older teenagers, you know, definitely 15, 16, 17, some of the teenagers, but no, not the adults. The adults usually stay down on the sidewalk, let their kids walk up, because it's not a spooky house, but some of them have to be brave to come across the porch and you know, you got to earn it at my house. You're not just walking up, ringing a doorbell or whatever. You got to earn it to some extent. But usually then I'll get the thank yous from the adults as the kid goes out there and explains why they're coming back with this big giant bag that's not candy. You know, I realized that early on. It's like, yeah, that's probably completely foreign to absolutely everyone that's you know, getting this. Is like, what do you have? So, but it's that's cool. my little dalliance of fun.
Because I used to have a neighbor that when I was I think I was maybe like when I was around maybe I trick or treated pretty late, so I was maybe like around like 12. But the guy would always hand out comic books like every year, and that was like the best house to go to.
Yeah, we had a guy that would hand out 50-cent pieces when I was a kid, and that was just like the coolest thing. It was weird, but yeah, that's something different. Yeah, he ranked right up there with the guy that gave out full packs of Reese's Cup. Not the single Reese's Cup, but the 2-pack Reese's Cup. Oh yeah, that house. You would go early in costume A, hit everything, and then you go back to that house in costume B and get another pack of them. Because
See, I used to buy
awesome.
king size. I would buy king size candy bars, and if I saw a Star Wars costume, then they would get the king size candy bar. But
We
yeah,
had someone giving out hot dogs this year. I thought that was pretty weird.
Yeah, I've heard
Yeah,
that, seen that on a cold Halloween night.
My kid ate it up. He loved it.
Yeah.
But it was like hot dog. Cool, man, I guess.
Get recharged, re-energized on cold Halloween night. And that was the other fun thing about it this year. Halloween trick or treat actually took place in my town on Halloween, so really went the extra mile to dress it up and have some fun with it, because that's always, to me as a kid, that was when trick or treat was supposed to happen. Didn't matter what time of the week or what part of the week it was supposed to be on. It's Halloween. That's when we're supposed to do it. I hated when they would schedule trick or treat, on like the 27th. It's like, ew, no, wait, that's not Halloween. Halloween's on the 31st. So yeah, it worked out really great this year. Had a whole lot of fun with it.
Yeah, you really hook them up. I'm looking at your pictures that you posted here. That's pretty good stuff there. It's not, random junk.
The stash of I
Yeah.
need to dive into the tub, because the tub has stuff from like the Clone War eras, and I went through it this is like 2 years ago. Ricky or Steven will remember. I went through the tub like the night before, or somehow we were chatting. I don't remember now. And there was like an Ahsoka in there. I was like, I don't know if I could give this away. It was, that Clone Wars. It had like the card game or some sort of game on the card back or something like that. And there was like an Ahsoka and a Rex in there, and I'm like, oh, I should, and if a girl came or whatever, I was definitely going to give it to her. But I think I did end up sort of pulling them back. But everything that's in there was purchased on the cheap, was on the clearance. Like the one stash of ships. There's a bunch of Falcons and everything. A Kmart, not a Kmart, they all did, but a Kmart in my area went out of, closed up shop and finally went out of business or whatever. And go that last day, and it's like 70-90% off or whatever. And they had just an end cap full of the Falcons, solo Falcons. It's like, yep, that's perfect Halloween fodder. It's huge, and it makes a pain in the butt to store for a whole year. The family, the missus, doesn't shine too keenly on it or whatever. But I truly enjoy doing it for the kids, if you will.
Giving back to the fans, instead of like selling it on eBay or something like that, give it to the kids that are going to keep Star Wars going.
No, I'd much rather give it away like that to kids and have some smile on some kid's face. Oh yeah, definitely.
I was going to say, it probably doesn't take up as much room as a sand barge in a box, but that might be blown about.
If a Jabba the Hutt comes, he's getting that cell barge.
Yeah, hey, good luck, kid. Carry this around.
Okay. Right, well, that just leaves yours truly to recap the last month. And as, of course, with my fantastic memory, it never takes very long. But I did finish The Rising Storm. That I was so chuffed at myself that I started listening to it, because I do it on the Audible, and then I had a break for about a month, and then it's like trying to get back into reading it regularly. I had to work at that a little bit, but then once you got right back into it, it was like, I was sort of getting through the chapters, because some of the chapters are really quick. So I got through it in much quicker time than I thought. All ready for the next Senate, which hopefully we will get time to talk about it this today or very soon. I really hope. So I was well chuffed to finish that. It's nothing like the satisfaction of finishing an Audible. But yeah, I've seen a few. We've been watching the Clone Wars stuff again, but I think that's. Oh, and the High Republic comics and stuff. I am up to date on it all. So whether I can remember any of it is another matter, but I am up to date. So yes, that's pretty much me. I think that just finishing the Audible book was a lot of energy for me. So I'm pleased to have done that. Okie dokie. So I forgot to say, just before the introduction and stuff, is that for those listening, to remember the ways that they can get hold of us on social media. Ricky, it's your bit.
Okay, we're on Meta. No, we're on TikTok at PSW Senate. Twitter, you can find us at PSW Senate. and Instagram, PSW Senate Podcast. And then also, if you want to email us, Positively Star Wars, senate@gmail.com. Just go ahead and give us a shout out. Leave us some comments, and we'll interact with you. You can join our Facebook group, Positively Star Wars Facebook group. We're all in there and trying to have some great discussions in there. So that's pretty much it.
Excellent. We do indeed try.
I do occasionally go on the old forums too, but I think we do have an official account on the forums somewhere.
Right on. So the thing we was all looking forward to with the Disney Plus day, which was on Friday last, was an Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer. Didn't quite happen as everybody expected. We ended up with a little bit of a teaser, which, as I read somewhere online, people were saying it was almost a year old in itself, but I don't know how true or not that is. But it's
weren't they saying that it was something that was shown to like executives or something last year?
Yeah. There's a whole massive 60,000 milliseconds long, which is a minute.
The one thing I'll point out to why or to listen to Ewan's sheer enthusiasm. Now, granted, it's a gig, it's a job, it's a paying role and all that sort of, but his sheer enthusiasm at getting to reprise this and getting to do this project or whatever is one of the things I took away, that he's truly a fan. He's obviously acting and getting to act and all that, but he seems to be quite a fan as well, that he's really happy and excited and enjoying the fact that the story can be told. I really hope they do right by whatever the story is. But yeah, he seems really genuinely excited by it.
How excited he was during when they released the behind the scenes stuff for episode 1. He was like a little kid playing with toys, when he was shooting the scenes. So I'm sure that came back to him now,
Right.
There's a hunger for this character to come back. The fans have been waiting long enough,
Something that's
We know.
extremely exciting. Obviously, Ewan McGregor. This is quite a dark time that we're coming into with him. Just being a Jedi, it's not safe. There's Jedi hunters out there.
At least he has this one task left, which is to keep Luke safe.
That's definitely a starting place for our story. The interesting thing is going to be where it goes from there.
The most beautiful thing of all is that it's brought me back together with Hayden.
We are bringing back Hayden Christensen to reprise the role of Darth Vader. We couldn't tell the story of Obi-Wan Kenobi without addressing Anakin or Vader.
Have another swing at each other. It might be quite satisfying for everybody. We hope that you enjoy it as much as we enjoy making it.
Blink and you miss it.
It says Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Sorry?
It says Obi-Wan Kenobi at the end.
Just
Kenobi.
There we go. Old Obi. So that's one of the first. So one of the first bits of visual art work that we get is an older Obi-Wan on top of a what was that?
An EOP, isn't it?
Yeah.
EOP.
Is that the EOP? If that's how you pronounce it.
EOP.
EOP. Yeah.
No, you guys know more than
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I literally get goosebumps just seeing that photo, just seeing that character, knowing that we're going to get more story out of that character is just genuinely exciting.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
It kind of reminds me of what Boba Fett was wearing when he was on Tatooine with the scarf around his neck and all that stuff. But his robe is still tattered. You noticed that on this concept art? It's still burned and tattered.
Do you think that's the robe, or do you think that's just dirty?
It looks like the robe. It's still smoked and smoke damage and all that stuff from fighting with Anakin. But I mean, when we see him in A New Hope, he's it's got patches in it and stuff like that. So.
But I have to say, I always love looking at concept art. I always have to remember that it doesn't always make it through to the actual production.
Yeah.
But there's always a lot of intrigue in concept art, isn't it? They throw it all in there and give you that mood and that feel to it. So we've got this one here, which is somewhere where there's a stormtroopers mingling basically in a open hallway with some atmospheric blue lighting kind of colours and stuff.
It's the whole thing with the Ralph McQuarrie artwork, when they're trying to pitch the movie, it gives you your brain feels in the other half of the picture. So, you can just imagine what these guys are doing in these scenes.
Well, this one,
And it looks like they definitely fully integrate it into the TK style stormtroopers too.
Yeah.
So it seems
certainly.
they got the full names.
Well, this is 10 years in, right? It said it's 10
9
years
or
in.
10, yeah.
It's 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Luke's 10, Ezra's 10. You know, it's 10 years before.
And this
New
is
Hope.
supposed to be underwater here, this hallway scene.
I was going to. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, I was going to say, do we know where this
Yeah.
is?
I didn't
Is it
see
underwater?
that. Yeah, that's great.
I don't know
You
that
know-
we know that where it is, but I heard it's somewhere that's underwater, and they say you can kind of see like fish or some creatures
yeah, I see.
outside.
Yeah.
If
You know,
look closely in the-
I didn't notice that.
In this thing, they said that there's Jedi hunters about. So that reminded me of like Fallen Order, where, you know, you got the Inquisitors going around looking
the
for Jedi.
Inquisitors.
One of the levels on there is underwater. It's an underwater Imperial facility. So
Yes.
Ah.
So I think that's what they were saying. I don't know where I heard that. Somebody said that, and they mentioned where it was, and they said that it's probably there because of what you're saying, Ricky.
yeah, I forgot
So
what
it
planet.
makes sense. They're they're reusing some previous story kind of stuff rather than
Yeah.
something else, which makes sense because otherwise it's just another one. They've retconned something or they've forgotten about that and that kind of stuff. They're actually reusing and probably expanding on that.
Yeah, because I don't think this is
expanding.
Camino, because we know that Camino got, you know, blown up. And
No.
Well, that one bit of the
looks like-
planet, all we know is one city got blown up. There is a bit
Yeah,
of
the
planet.
city did. It could be Camino because they could have rebuilt under it or something. Or whatever. Why is
Could
it
be
so
Mon
tall?
Calamari, or, you know.
Yes, because that increases the pressure on it, doesn't it? Surely as well, by having it so tall. And also, they seem to have some Smurf stormtroopers back here. Look, they look really smaller than the rest.
Those are hobbit suits.
And then do the stormtroopers, do they really need windows to see the, you know, to see the, you know, they really need to be entertained? They're grunt stormtroopers or whatever. They need this one guy down the lower left is like, oh, look at the pretty fishes. I see Nemo.
Yeah. I don't think they did it for them. You know, these guys, they take over other things.
Ah, yeah, there you go. Right, they took over somebody's.
I can't really.
They took over.
It
That's
could be
what it
something
is.
like the Colossus, you know, like where that was like a ship, but it was underground. You know, it was underwater, you know, and it did have
Underwater,
windows.
It looks almost like a sort of social room for stormtroopers, doesn't it? But with no tables or chairs. They're all just in there mingling, having a little chat with each other.
There's no, yeah, that's true.
Nothing to eat, nothing to sit, no entertainment. Apart to look out the windows. That's why I'm looking at the windows, Ron, because there's no other entertainment in that room.
Well, they probably
Yeah.
figured, you know,
Concept.
look, it's a really long hallway, and they're like, you know, you got to walk all the way from back there to over here. Well, at least you have something nice to look at on your walk, right? Instead of just gray walls.
Right.
When does Fallen Order take place? When does Fallen Order take place?
Well, let me see. If Cal Kestis was what, like maybe 10, right? When Order 66 happened, from the, you know, the little clips there.
Yeah.
Then maybe it's around the same time, because he seemed like he was like around 20, right? 1920 in the game.
Something
Oh,
like
yeah, I
that,
haven't played that game.
Yeah, oh, that's a good story. Yeah, that
So
looks like an
this is-
Inquisitor right there.
So
You know,
this,
one of
yeah.
the-
So this shot, we've got one of those. I don't know what you call those sort of ad hoc kind of black kind of Imperial mini ships sort of stuff, haven't we? And a couple of stormtroopers and an Inquisitor. That's like the Seventh Sister, isn't it? It's one of the sisters ones, isn't it?
Yeah.
It
It actually
looks
looks
like-
like the one from the game that's chasing you. So I mean,
Yeah.
if they
But
show,
that-
if Cal Kestis shows up in the show, I'm gonna lose my mind. But yeah,
And
Is
it
that
looks
the
like,
same? Yeah, go on, Mom.
I was gonna say it looks like the wings then fold down so unnecessarily that the gun turreted wings, once it takes off, would fold down so they'd be in the down position versus this up position, whereas either one is still going to shoot things forward. Like, but
I mean,
know,
you can park closer this way.
but I'm saying, why do they need to fold? They just leave them like that. The fold's gonna. I guess maybe the fold would make their shooting points be wider, because right now they're kind of close to each other, and if it folds down the way it's going to look like an A, they would be spaced farther apart, so maybe that does help for targeting in some fashion. I don't know, I just, I always need my Star Wars to work in some fashion.
We've got an Inquisitor with two stormtroopers, and
That's what it looks
one's
like.
interested in the rings being up, right?
Well,
I was-
it has
I was
wings.
never
You gotta
good at
think it
detail,
for
guy.
in atmosphere. For in atmosphere, it could still use the wings for gliding and stuff, and folding it up, it helps get it into tighter places and tighter platforms.
Yeah, the more and more I watch the sequel trilogy
Yep.
and they show ships flying around in atmosphere, there is not, and being an aerodynamic engineer background guy, there's nothing in atmosphere to any of
The
these
tiny
ships.
wings.
the way
The tiny
the way the ships turn in atmosphere and everything, it's all that repulsor technology and everything. But it's still a very cool design. And yes, to Steven's point, yeah, that's what I noticed. The Inquisitor and the Stormtrooper, whatever, but a big deal. I'm looking at the ship design. Yeah, details was not my thing.
So is this Inquisitor then? The Inquisitor that was in the game, was that one of the same Inquisitors that we saw in Rebels?
No, it was a different one.
There's another Inquisitor again, so there's even more Inquisitors.
Yeah, there was like 10 of them or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that looks like a sister.
Because remember, there was like the 9th sister or the 9th brother, and they went up in numbers over and over again. I think the one in the game was the second.
Different things, because there's the ones.
Say that again. Different ones did what?
There's different Inquisitors that you see in different projects.
That we see.
You don't always see them all together. You hear, like Ricky said, that there's like 10 of them. But like in Rebels, you only see a couple of them. Then in the game, you see, I think, like what is it, 1 or 2 of them? Like
2 or 3, yeah.
And 2 or 3, and then in the comics, I think there's like another one. So like they kind of, you see different ones throughout different things. So
from a real world perspective, I always hate to get into the minutia of how this gets made or whatever. I like to believe it's all real, but yeah, from a real world construct, where it's a genius concept to have a villain of the right, we know there's these Inquisitors, and there's Sister Number 9, all these sorts of things, so right, that we've never seen them all, but they could constantly sort of manufacture ones, and one could get dispatched over the course of time, another one could get dispatched over the course of time, as a way to provide us with bad guys that are linked to the Empire and linked to Vader in some fashion that they're hunting. But yeah, every once in a while we need a payoff. We need
once they die or once they lose, then Vader shows up.
We need an Inquisitor to bring Vader into the mix one or two times to dispatch or take care of something or whatever. Because what is he doing? What else is he doing? Maybe other than hunting Obi-Wan.
Is this on Tatooine, do we think, or somewhere else?
Yeah, moisture evaporated.
There's moisture evaporated.
Yeah, for sure it's on Tatooine.
Or Jeddah. Or Jakku.
Well, so for sure, if they know Obi-Wan's on Tatooine, they can't possibly know he's there. I mean, that was the one construct when we heard about getting an Obi-Wan series. You're like, what story can they tell? They can't know, the Empire can't know about Obi-Wan at all, or Luke at all, or they would go take care of it. So he really has to be off-world or otherwise redirecting them away from there. They just, it's going to be very interesting to see what they do in order to keep that, because over the years we've had a problem with, it was Luke Skywalker on Tatooine. How did Vader not ever find him? And George would say, Skywalker's a common name like Smith, but we've kind of come to the conclusion that's not necessarily the right answer. I've always wanted to posit that his name was Luke Lars, and when he says I'm Luke Skywalker, I'm here to rescue, he finally comes to own his true last name. But that's a huge retcon of epic proportions there. The movies would allow for it. There's nothing that says he's Luke Skywalker anywhere else, but I think all the cards and everything else we have kind of calls him as Luke Skywalker. When he's in the sand, in the robes, and all that sort of stuff.
I mean, come on, the guy changed his name to Ben Kenobi. He's not very inventive either.
Yeah.
What I found funny in this trailer was when Ewan, right before this picture that's up, Ewan says, he has one job, which is to protect Luke. And then they cut to all these scenes of other like planets and other worlds and stuff. I'm like, it's like you had the one job, and then you're gonna take off and go to all these different places. It's probably him. It's probably him leading, them away from there.
That's what I was thinking.
That's the reason, I guess, that you could explain for him leaving him.
Or maybe he has to protect Leia, Maybe he has to go off and do that.
That's true.
Yeah.
I forgot that Leia was supposed to be part of this too. So
well, I had a bit of a revelation somewhere. I don't know if I was watching Jedi, talking with somebody or something or whatever, that I was looking up to make sure I quoted the line correctly, whatever. And Jedi, Return of the Jedi, Vader said, sister, so you have a sister. Obi-Wan's failure is now complete. That I wonder, how they've made a lot of hay out of this, a one throw off line. You fought in the Clone Wars with my father, and then, make a whole giant series of it. I wonder if there could be something to this. So his failure is now complete. That if this Kenobi series is going to help fill that line in or add some weight to that line, or otherwise make us hear that line in Return of the Jedi differently, in terms of, while it's going to be it should be a surprise, still needs to be a surprise to him that, so you have a sister. Obi-Wan was wise to hide her from me, but now his failure is complete. I'm very curious to see if this series does something to add a lot of weight and a lot of background to what was a throwaway line, so to speak, for 40 plus years. Really excited.
Well, then, like Tarkin thinking that, like, oh, Obi-Wan, he's surely he's dead by now, No, that's so.
Yeah,
he must have some reason to think that. Like, I mean, Obi-Wan thinks Vader's more machine than man than he ever was before, and then Tarkin thinks assuming that he died. So some kind of battle happened, and Obi-Wan probably like failed and left.
Not to mention the Vader line where he tells Luke that Obi-Wan once thought as he did.
Yeah.
Like that's another one. There's a few of those. There's a few of those.
Oh,
like,
that's a beautiful line. Yeah, right. They're trying to turn him or whatever. Obi-Wan once thought as you did.
When
did he?
Return of the Jedi, at that point, like, going by the prequels, the last time that we knew that they saw each other was on Mustafar, and he was not
trying to turn him. Yeah.
Turn Anakin back. So when was it exactly that Obi-Wan once thought as he did?
Oh,
well, and then Luke,
turning him
back. And also out even more for this series.
Luke is like telling Obi-Wan, like, I can't kill my own father. He's like, there's good in him. He's like, oh, he's more machine than man now. So, I tried. Basically, so he tried again.
To your point, it makes total sense that, right, Obi-Wan and Anakin were such friends. Why would he just go off and not? Of course, that's what Luke goes to do. But why would he go off and not try to turn it, to once thought as you did, to try to turn his friend and try to talk sense into Anakin and otherwise do something like that. So yeah, that probably is a line that's going to carry a lot of weight in this series. No,
I just feel he's
so much more excited.
He's too heartbroken to ever go back. Like, that's one of the saddest moments. And when you talk about his failure, his mission was to keep them hidden. So Luke came to the forefront, he failed there, and then he tried to keep Leia hidden, and he failed there too. So I wouldn't look too much into it. Yeah, your failure is complete. You tried to keep them from me. Now I know they exist.
Or to protect Luke from the Emperor, and he's standing right there in front of the Emperor. That's pretty big failure. But
so it looks like
there's so much they can do with the show. Like it's
looks like we're going back to Coruscant.
Is that Coruscant? It does kind of.
One would think. And that would make some sort of sense, I suppose, that there was some. Of course, it got a nod in the series, I would say. But of course, there is 101 other places that look like Coruscant, so it may not be. There's a bit later on.
And they keep calling this like a limited series, so I wonder exactly how long it's going to be. If it's just going to be like 6 episodes and then that's it.
That's what I envision. I don't think this can be open-ended. I think this needs to be a movie, an Obi-Wan movie that's gotten expanded upon. So it's not just 2.5 hours. It's 6 episodes, nearly 40 minutes each or whatever. So we really get a really well-developed, fully fleshed out what's going on with Obi-Wan during all that time story. And I don't think it can be open or multi-seasoned. I mean, it could be, but I don't know that I want to see that. As much as I love me some Obi-Wan, this has to work very, very well.
Well, everyone's like excited for Hayden and Anakin, but like I'm assuming we're gonna see Yoda. Obi-Wan communicating with him back and forth. Maybe
he communicates more with Qui-Gon.
With Qui-Gon.
He communicates with Qui-Gon, like straight up. That is canon that he communicates with Qui-Gon as a Force ghost.
Yeah.
Force voice, more like it.
Yeah, Force voice.
So in this artwork, we got Vader sat at his desk with an image lit up in front of him, a sort of hologram image, obviously in the castle on Mustafar.
Is that the Emperor's image, or is that who's he?
Well, you can't tell. It could be anyone, couldn't it? Yeah.
Oh, I see Vader sitting in his throne and Obi-Wan trying to talk to him. Maybe.
No, I mean, I wouldn't go that close. I would think maybe he's just looking back on a memory or something.
Okay.
Or maybe he's watching. Maybe he's watching the message like, "This is Obi-Wan Kenobi. The Jedi Order is spell." Maybe he's watching that whole thing.
Well, the holiday
that'd be good to see.
Yeah.
The holiday special.
That'd be very hard. That'd be very hard to see. Anakin watching that Obi-Wan's heartfelt message to everyone. Oh.
We have a co-sort on there, don't we? We've not got much. Is that actually a window there or not? Do you think? I'll just go right
straight. That looks like lava.
Yeah, go straight out, doesn't
This
it?
looks like
Or
open.
it's just lights. I don't know.
Yeah, why would he have it
Probably his
open? He needs
castle
a
on
helmet
Mustafar,
to breathe.
I mean, it makes sense it'd be his castle, but off to the left looks like sand, like a sand valley dune thing.
I think it looks like lava and
he
steam.
hates sand.
Touche.
The seat looks like his castle. Doesn't the seat look
Yeah.
like his castle?
Yeah, it's got to be his castle.
Why would it be?
No, I mean it's the shape of his castle.
Oh,
Right.
yeah. There you go. Yeah, it does.
Obviously, this footage of Hayden training and stuff, I imagine, is from Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, so he is wearing socks. I was wondering if he was.
No, they're wearing masks, so this has to be modern.
They wear masks for
so
oxygen
that's
training,
something
but
else
the front guy's wearing a
looks
mask.
like those are COVID masks.
So obviously,
And if
this
you look at the
chapter
back, is that a double-bladed lightsaber in the background, or is that just a long staff?
It looks like
I
I
can't
don't
see.
know. It could be. I mean, you practice with a staff, and
think
they just
someone
act
tried
like
to-
it's a double bladed.
I think somebody's
Ray Parker.
hitting him or something, but yeah.
So it looks more like he's tripped and he should about to fall into that thing sticking down at the moment, isn't it? Yeah. Oh no, of course the masks give it away, don't they? I was just thinking, I don't know what I was thinking. But yeah, so obviously there's going to be a few people with lightsabers there, because otherwise what's the point of these people also got lightsabers?
Well, I
or
kind of
some-
wondered that too. Yeah, why are they back there training? Somebody tried to posit that the guy in the back right there with sort of the white lightsaber was Hayden training, but yeah, they just it's not.
No,
yeah,
definitely.
why are other people swinging lightsabers in this scene is interesting. Of course,
or there could be some Imperial guards. Could be.
Oh, there you go. For somebody.
Well, they're
formed
just
to
trainers,
fight.
so they're just mirroring each other's images. So I just got to say on this thing, I am not a fan of the Obi-Wan and Vader rehashing their fight at a later time. I think it has a much bigger impact if they never talk, never see each other, never do anything for that entire gap. To me, it seems very forced. Of course, again, I keep my expectations low, and I'd hopefully be a surprise that they have a good reason for them to fight again, and not just fan service to put those two together. Because you got to think, if you give a modern interpretation of those two fighting, it's going to make the New Hope fight look even worse. It's the same with the SC-138.
Like, he needs to get injured like pretty badly so that way they can't leap around anymore. Because I think by the time you see Vader in A New Hope, like even like on Rogue One, he was still that's around the same time. But like, when he's fighting Ahsoka, he's still like pretty spry and leaping around and doing stuff. But by the time you get to the OT, he can barely walk. He looks like a robot, walking around. He doesn't jump up very much. So
I've seen
maybe he
fans
gets
say
injured
that
even more. Maybe Obi-Wan gets injured. Who knows?
Yeah, that scene. I can't remember what they call it, the SC-138 or whatever, the original Obi-Wan and the Vader fight. They expand
With
on
the
it.
updated
Some
graphics.
fans. Yeah, and it's amazing. But people are like, they need to put that in, and I'm like, no. Like, if you're gonna put something like that in, you might as well redo the entire movie because it's gonna feel so out of place. I mean, that's what I'm worried about.
Why wouldn't
I'm
Obi-Wan
very
just walk around and
concerned.
why wouldn't he just wave his sword around and destroy the Empire himself if he's that good still? You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah, so I'm very concerned why they're fighting, what they're fighting for, how it's going to end, So it certainly intrigued. I'm very
which is
apprehensive.
like the thing
on
with
how
the
they're
rematch
using it.
between Obi-Wan and Maul. People were kind of like disappointed it was so short, but I mean, you can't have them like jumping around fighting like they did in Episode 1. That makes
so
sense.
what
It's more
they're-
of a mental thing.
So I haven't got to that part. I've watched the scene in Clone Wars or Rebels, whichever one
It's
it appeared
Rebels.
in. Okay, it's Rebels. So do you think that takes place after this? Like, is Rebels closer to New Hope than the Kenobi series?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Luke is. I think this
It-
takes place after Rebels because Luke is very small in that. You see him bounding across the horizon.
this is
I think, and he's
before.
small.
It's because Luke and Ezra are the same age. They were born on the same day.
You think this
Yeah.
Obi-Wan
5
series
years.
is before?
Yeah, this is 10
The
years.
Obi-Wan
So
series is 10 years, and Rebels takes place kind of like it
5
ends
years.
pretty much like right before
Yeah.
A New Hope.
yeah, because
Yeah, I think it's
Gerrera's
5
the
years
same
to
and all
New Hope.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
Rebels
Maul's
starts
still alive,
about
technically.
5 years after the Kenobi show. About 4 or 5 years before A New Hope, I think.
Well,
is
that
when
would
it
okay.
starts.
So that would work. That would let Obi-Wan and Vader be spry, if you, for lack of a better term. But to your point, you're exactly right that they have to treat this delicately. They have to treat this correctly. They have to treat this with the utmost respect, because I don't want fan service. I agree that I don't want fan service and just having another fight for them, because it diminishes. It has the potential to really diminish and ruin A New Hope. I really believe the stewards that are in charge of all of this won't let that happen. Wishful thinking, hopeful thinking, and otherwise don't want my favoriteest character ruined in terms of his storyline. So I really hope they find some way. I'm excited to see what they do that finds some way to justify them meeting again and handle it in the proper way and proper respect that it needs to, in order to jive with the story that started it all, that is A New Hope. That those lines, those meetings, those actions, like you say, they're not jumping around, they're not spry and everything, and all that needs to work from a timeline standpoint and everything for us.
Well, Filoni's involved in this, isn't he? I believe, isn't he?
Maybe
Filoni?
he's like an executive, or otherwise. I'm sure there's input. I would hope he has some input.
I hope he is, because he doesn't let any crap get past, does he? He's the one who's got to know whether something works or doesn't work. He really needs to be the one who is consulted on this kind of thing. But I think there's definitely a case for it being able to work. It's just they've got to get it right. Like you say, there's lines in A New Hope have got to still stand up.
They've got to be. They've got to know. They've got to be aware of them all, right? All the ones we just talked about.
Yeah.
They've got to. There's like 5, 6, at most maybe 10 lines that Vader says about things, and Obi-Wan says about things, or whatever, that have to be on some wall. That is, all right, does this pass the sniff test? Does this work for these lines? That can does all of this jive?
It has to be a good angle to get them to fight again, because it's honestly something that that all of us that have been fans for decades now have never even really considered that there was another fight in between 3 and 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's something that I don't think any of us ever thought about. I never did.
Well, I just realized too.
Sorry.
I just realized too that Obi-Wan must have to think Vader Vader must have to think Obi-Wan has died, because if they fight and separate in some fashion where they don't dispatch each other or whatever, then Vader would be on the hunt, and the Emperor would be on the hunt, and they would just send every Inquisitor everywhere trying to find him. So there has to be some level of, he thinks it's
I mean,
he's going to be pretty sure that he's probably dead after this. Otherwise, he would have never given up the hunt for the next, however many years till he found him.
So presumably,
you got to think they gave up the hunt from revenge to Kenobi. I mean, there's everyone knows that Kenobi's alive. So if they would have sent out someone for a year, they can't find him and give up, and then they just do it again.
No, the thing is, I think at that point, Vader had just, he's kind of becoming Vader. He'd been all chopped up, so they're starting the Empire. I think they had other fish to fry. Plus, they had the Inquisitors out there, and I think since he wasn't really stirring up any trouble over those 10 years.
I mean, this
I don't
is
think
basically
they had a
Vader in
real
his
good reason
prime.
other than revenge to go get him. But now that they know if he's popping up again, this would be something that would lead them to hunt him down, unless they thought that he was probably dead after this fight.
It's pretty dangerous. It's pretty dangerous for him to appear back in, because you got to think 10 years after, the heat's probably died off on him. But now you're going to fight Vader, and he's going to be like, all right, I'm going to hunt you for another 10 years. So again, it's very early for anything. I hope they have good reason.
Maybe Vader never stopped looking for him, and he follows him to Tatooine, and then Obi-Wan has to leave to throw them off the scent of Luke, and that's why he goes planet hopping, maybe,
I was initially
just to get Vader off of Tatooine.
Just being
he's definitely got to throw the scent far, far away from Tatooine if they're ever, if we think that ship landed on Tatooine, he's got to do something to get him far, far away from there. I was thinking that there was something where Obi-Wan might think that, or Vader in the early, somebody just said, he just became Vader, so he's still hashing it out and figuring it out, that he might be conflicted, and Obi-Wan might be trying to turn him. But there's not a lot of conflict when Ahsoka meets him, and that's relatively soon after he became Vader, right? And if this is like Vader, 10 years,
Vader in his prime, then he's fully darkside right now.
Yeah, and if this is 10 years, then Obi-Wan's once thought as you did or whatever is really going to prove challenging, because he's really going to be seated into the committed as Vader. So they've got those story room. They've got a lot on their plate to try to make sense.
Yeah, Vader should be like pure evil at this point right now, when they were doing the rematch, which is probably, maybe he besses Obi-Wan, and then Obi-Wan is assumed dead,
and he's just been really weak after that.
Yeah, I think that's another thing that after this
Because I mean, he
fight, I
says
think
last time we met,
both
I was
get
the learner,
weakened.
you were the master.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's revenge stuff.
I like how they threw the sand in there just to get at.
Oh yeah.
They put sand in the Kenobi logo just to make Vader angry.
Just
I'm certainly definitely looking forward to this. Probably the most of anything that is on the horizon at the moment. This is top of my excitement level. As I am trying to keep expectations as well. But yeah.
Reduce expectations, Stephen. So
yeah,
keep expectations low.
Yeah, I can't see how it can fail in some respects, but it could also. It's probably.
It's not going to fail
probably
at
time
all.
to stay off the internet, and I think it's probably a good time to stay off social media, ignore what everybody else thinks, and just take it the way that you receive it. Not worry about everybody going, oh, they do this, all this kind of stuff. I mean, those lines in A New Hope, we're saying that they must still stand up, but it doesn't mean that those lines couldn't mean something different to what we previously thought they meant. Like we got Rogue One going straight into A New Hope. We never thought for a minute that Vader was just hunting down Princess Leia just before New Hope until we got Rogue One. So it's quite possible that those lines could still mean something real, but might mean something different to what we thought they meant originally. So it's
I like it and agree that, I love how Rogue One sort of spun what we thought about the rebellion on its head. That we thought the rebellion was this thing and well formed and all, and you find Rogue One and they're a hair's breadth away from disbanding the whole daggone idea. So I like the idea of potentially turning something that we've thought on its head to some extent, like a Rogue One did, to really sort of question that or challenge that, or otherwise add some depth to what we thought we knew to something. With regards to the expectations, if you go into it with the expectation of just having more Star Wars story told to you, it'll work very, very well. That's my big hang up on if you go in expecting to see this or expecting to see that or wanting, that's where the disappointment from very many fans, I think, comes into play, is they expect to see X, Y, or Z, and I always couch everyone, if you just go in with expecting more Star Wars story to be told to you, you will not be disappointed.
If I don't see Jar Jar, I'm gonna riot.
At least
might
in the
not want that expectation. Yeah.
At least in the background.
Get ready to riot.
How about his footprint?
What if Jar Jar snitches on Obi-Wan and tells Vader where he's at? He tells Vader, Kenobi is in Tatooine.
Yeah.
Misa never seen Kenobi, not since last year. Oops. Yeah. I would say that the comics muddy the waters, because I think in that's what I call the comics, as Ryan knows, like muddying the waters. But of course, Vader did visit Tatooine, didn't he? In between the before
and Jabba.
Well, it was after this one, wasn't it? Was it before this one? I can't remember now.
It was after, isn't it? Wasn't that all that stuff takes place after New Hope?
Yeah, all those comics are during the original trilogy.
No, you're right. That's right. Okay.
And then Luke fights Boba Fett in Obi-Wan's house, right? Doesn't that happen?
Yes.
Oh,
what?
Boy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Luke, I think it was
Luke
Luke was blind and he doesn't know that it was Boba Fett.
Yeah, something. No, was it? I don't.
Sands in the eyes.
He couldn't see for some reason.
Well, he had no idea who
why
Boba Fett was, anyways. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Speaking of Boba Fett, clink.
To be dead.
We also had drop on us on D+ Day, Under the Helmet: The Legacy of Boba Fett. Now I know Tony hasn't seen this, but not missed much. But I assume everybody else has seen this.
I have, yeah.
Lots of cool stuff.
Yeah, it's lots of cool stuff.
It's worth a watch.
How much was it? I mean, for me, because given my memory, I haven't got very good memory. So for me, it's like, oh, this is all interesting and stuff. How much of it was actually new stuff not actually talked about before?
I mean, I had no idea Jeremy Bullock was in the other movies, like in the background. Like that was new to me.
Oh yeah, they did show that, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, he's an extra
as other characters. Yeah,
as other characters.
Mm.
Yeah.
I found it interesting. I know I've probably seen it before, but just have never gone back to look at it or whatever. That early Fett designs had ears, or I don't know what's on top of his helmet, but then Filoni ended up using them on his trooper helmets. Or did he use them on Previs? I thought some of the clone troopers had those little weird ear wing things on top of the helmet. I thought some of the clone trooper, I thought Rex might have had those too. Anyway, it's that recycling, it's that poetry, it's that no idea ever goes unused kind of thing in Star Wars or whatever. That it was neat to see that in this documentary that then I know I've seen before in terms of having watched Clone Wars.
Because we had that. The original chap in the white.
I definitely recommend watching it. Yeah, I learned a lot.
It was very well done.
Yeah, that original. Yeah, about how it sort of.
How about just as a real quick topic thing, whatever? Find the Lucas piece, whatever. You think that Lucas interview was from previous, or was that him? Did they get him for this?
It's at the 5-minute mark.
He looks pretty aged, and it looks like he's at the same. He's on, Skywalker Ranch, the same spot where they're talking to everybody else at. So, I definitely did, like watching that when I saw George pop up. I'm like, oh, he's getting up there,
So you think it was new interview for this thing? They had him back at the ranch and interviewing for the show.
And he's wearing the same thing that he was wearing when he was watching those races last week. No, he's not. Maybe the same thing.
Hosting was a Grand Prix, yeah.
Yeah, the Grand Prix.
Because that was really simple. That's actually was Boba Fett's introduction. Was at that parade, wasn't it? That's actually the first time anybody saw him.
That was
Go to the 5-minute 51 mark is his part of his interview, and my favorite part of the entire thing.
Oh, there he is.
This face. This
and then later they were doing the holiday special.
And then later they were doing this holiday special, and there wasn't much our involvement, but I came up with the idea, why don't we take the Boba Fett character and put him in that, make a little movie out of it.
No, but he says, I did not help at all in this thing, except for the one thing that everyone actually liked was the Boba Fett cartoon.
Yeah. Can claim to that.
I love this scene. His eyes to the side, like that holiday special, then he chuckles.
Someone pointed out that the clips they showed of it were super cleaned up. Like when they showed Chewbacca's kid and stuff. There's
the live action stuff.
There's a remastered Disney version
of it
of
somewhere.
Yeah.
Sure, they got plenty of people that need work, whether they're going to do it to release it now or later, whatever.
They would need some editing
so that they have it.
And the Nessa spotted Filoni without his hat. I mean, what's he thinking now? It's his choice now.
He's doing a lot of hatless.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Is that the same place?
Powers of B sort of got to him.
Are George and Filoni at the same place?
Well, that's Skywalker Ranch, right? Or is that?
That's similar, isn't it? Yeah.
It looks like it.
And he's got
which
the
we know that
Boba
he's
Fett
visited.
set on him.
I don't know why you think the background of that Lucas shot is Skywalker Ranch.
Because it's Skywalker Ranch.
Where else would it be?
The bicycles
why would George go there for this interview? That's why I asked. Did they go to him? And he said, "Yeah, I'll do." Willing to do an interview.
Well, didn't
about
they show him on the set of the show? Where is all the volume and all that stuff? Isn't it there?
No, the volume is over here, and isn't it in California?
I think that's what he's saying, isn't it? At the ranch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess. Is it up north? I always thought it was. I don't know why I always thought it was here in Southern California somewhere.
I could just imagine Ron going to Rancho Obi-Wan and just casually dropping stuff into his bag as he's walking down the aisle.
No, not Rancho Obi-Wan, but Skywalker Ranch.
Yeah, but I don't think they let you carry a bag through Rancho Obi-Wan.
No, I never knew how much stuff. He's just saying how much stuff was Boba Fett there, and it was just hundreds, wasn't it? And that's just Boba Fett. There's just so much stuff there. I mean,
I have a Pez dispenser and a 3 3/4 action figure of Boba Fett, and I think that's probably it. The
Lego Boba Fett, guitars Boba Fett.
Yeah, the back of the prototype Boba Fett, where he goes into detail about the shape of the missile.
That's right.
Intriguing.
Yeah. One sounded lethal, didn't it? One's a
4-sided and one's an 8-sided missile. I mean, come on, they're two totally different Boba Fett figures.
They both choke kids equally.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why we
I
didn't
thought
get
they shot your eye
either
out like
one
a
of
Red
them.
Ryder BB gun, right?
Does anybody? Does
I
anybody
think it was a choke. I thought a kid choked on a Battlestar Galactica projectile, so that's
Yeah,
what.
any kid that chokes on the, should just keep it to himself, because that's kind of an embarrassing way to go, I think.
Who doesn't shoot the missiles into their
Who
face?
chokes
come
on those things? I grew up in the 70s. Nobody I knew choked on any of that stuff.
I had a
Right.
metal Voltron.
Nobody was
and I
putting them in their
fine.
mouth.
Darwin at its best. Darwinism at its best.
There you go.
So he said those little rocket thingies come from the knees.
Yeah, like they showed on the show on Mandalorian.
Yeah,
When
but
he showed how to-
I never noticed. I don't know why. I didn't think they came from the knees for some reason. I thought they came from around the arms, but it just happened so quickly. I never really noticed where they were coming from on the show.
Yeah, people always pointed out he's got knee rockets, and I guess they just decided to do it in this show. So in the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And we never see him shoot the actual rocket until we see Jango Fett do it in episode 2.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That's what it was. The prequel, not the Mando. Yeah.
Well, because you then get the stuff then, because you haven't got to replace him, have you? Once you
No,
fire
Mando,
that,
he does the knee rocket.
Nothing else.
Mando, he does the knee rocket.
Doesn't what's his name do it in Mandalorian? What's his name? The guy who had
Cap Vance.
Yeah.
And also, what I never noticed, look, he's got screws there by the jetpack. 2 massive screws about the rocket pack.
I was looking at the clips that they were showing of him from the OT, and I don't see that shiny digital thing on his left, on his left pack. The little screen with the numbers.
Yeah.
Can't really see in the old movies. Now you watch Mando, and it's like
because it wasn't there.
He put a new LED battery or LED light or battery in it for the show.
Yeah, he wasn't wearing it that day.
But
Yeah,
Do we think they address how Boba Fett looks better? His
I was just
complexion,
gonna say that.
his complexion from Mando to the series or whatever, that he back to tanked or otherwise. Well, I mean, why didn't he do it sooner? There's definitely something they. So I just wonder, will they address it? Do they address it?
Watching those clips again, did it look like he had like sand on his face? That's why he looked so pale, or I don't know.
He was wearing a lot of sunscreen.
Yeah, it did.
Like when people go out there, and I'm not joking. I mean, like like when you see people out there, they just like lather on the sunscreen and like they look all white. That's what he looked like to me.
Yeah, but there were sort of like lines as well on the.
Yeah, on his face, and you can still see them on the clips of the trailer, but they look like they've healed. Like they're really thin.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely worth a watch, Tony. And as I said, there is some new stuff in there, and it's only 20 minutes, and even I managed to watch it all in one go. So that's
yeah. So that just makes me look bad. If Steven could get through it. I
know. That
Steven watched that, and he watched Toy Story 2. So.
I watched Toy Story 2, yeah, for my birthday. I know. Amazing. Only 10.
You've come a long way.
What year did that come out, man? I don't know. Wow.
It's about right for you, though. That was only 20 years ago. So.
Steven, isn't it funny you can watch anything and it still has Star Wars references in it?
There's so many in that.
Yeah.
That Toy Story one, so many. I was thinking, I was watching this thing. Good grief! That I am your father, and a lot of things. And I was watching another episode of Lost yesterday, and they had the Star Wars references all over the place in that from. They were talking about trying to change Saeed back from the darkness in the last series, and Hurley goes, "Yeah, of course you can. It happened in Star Wars with Anakin," and then Sawyer goes, "Who's Anakin?" It's great stuff.
It's everywhere.
Okay. So I suppose we ought to think The Rising Storm in the High Republic series, which was the second book of the last rave. So I think we should start it off. And I realise probably Tony and Ron definitely will have no idea.
Yes, we'll be very quiet. So
no, but you can absolutely chirp in, because there will be time to chirp in. Not least with Ron going, "Who's that? What's that?"
Yeah, like what's going on. And...
This is how you get your monthly dose of the High Republic. So I'll leave it to Ryan to give us a synopsis of this book, and then we can plow in with our thoughts, and Tony and Ron can plow in with their WTF questions.
Okay, so I made a really quick set of notes, like maybe only like a minute, just to get the overall sense of the story, and then I have other notes that look into it more. So for the overarching of the story, This is 1 year after Light of the Jedi, because I always like to know where stories fall. So this is 1 year later. Stellan Gios has been promoted from Jedi Master to Jedi High Council. So he is now one of the main decision makings, which is kind of funny when I brought up last month how if humans ever do good on the Jedi Council, because they live like 80 years, and then you got a bunch of people like Yoda that live like 800 years. So Stellan has been promoted to the High Council. They are building a new super ship called the Innovator, which I found funny. I'll touch on it later. But they're building a new ship called the Innovator on another planet. It's supposed to be Chancellor So's big ship of peace. Then we have Marchion Ro. He goes to find a weapon. So he travels to another planet. He meets what he calls his cousin, and he collects a weapon called the Leveler from like an ice planet from deep within. And he talks about how he broke away from the family. So there's a lot more history on Marchion Ro, which is probably going to be maybe touched on in the final book or the comic book coming out in January.
He's the bad guy, by the way, guys.
Yep.
Yeah, depending on what you know. So Marchion Ro, the overall villain. So he collects a weapon called the Leveler, which is going to happen later. Also in it, we have characters who are trying to start the Defense Force program, which it'll come into effect later. So that's just the early beginning. We have people building ships, we have Ro collecting a weapon, and then it jumps right into the attack on the fair. So Chancellor So has pretty much a peace fair. Think of it like a world fair, and she's trying to bring all these people together to show how peace it is. And then, of course, no one has really heard of the Nile for the past year, and they do an all-out attack on the fair. So, and what happens in that is the big Innovator ship gets destroyed, and Bell, one of the Padawans, he saves a bunch of people in the ship. Porter Ingle, the Santa Claus guy, he mind links with 5 other Jedis, and they fly all their vector ships around, and they're shooting down a bunch of Nile in the air. So that scene was really cool. Elzar Mann, the big 3 of these books I would be considered Elzar Mann, Stellan Gios, and Avar Kriss. And Avar is not in this book at all. She's in a couple pages, and she's off dealing with the Drengir, so she's not in this at all. But Elzar Mann actually uses dark side abilities to they have giant floating islands for different planets in the new Outer Rim. So, and these are humongous, like city-sized planets floating in the air.
Yeah,
and they
like
have
a thing
hundreds
for
and
the
hundreds.
fair.
That was the fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is still all in the fair. This whole planet is for the fair. So this is everything that I got right now is just the attack on the fair. So, and at one point, the Nile shoot those down, and Elzar Mann, using the dark side of anger of all the death, he catches one of these city-side spheres, and he almost like spins it around, and he knocks out a whole bunch of Nile doing this. So Elzar has very efficiently used the dark side. So it makes me love his character even more, because now he has to struggle with the realization that he didn't mean to, but he just accessed the dark side. And they made it a very valid point to say he's using more power than he's ever used before, and he still is not out of breath. He's perfectly healthy, and he's going to battle for more. So expanding in Elzar, they're doing great with that. Elzar then joins up with Ty Yorick, who is being expanded in the comics Monster at Temple Peak. She is a former Jedi Padawan who left the Order for some reason, and she comes back she's just part of the story, and it just kind of runs into Elzar. They ride dragons through the air, and they also fight the Nile in the sky. At one point, when they get communications back, all the Jedi team up, and they're able to push the gas cloud out, because, what I skipped is the way the Nile are attacking is Lorna D, one of the generals, you could say, she's leading the ground attack. Pan Ada is handling the sky attack, and they sent, as what the Nile do, they send all their gas clouds over the entire fair, this whole city of Valo, almost the whole planet of Valo. They do the giant gas clouds. And then Zeter, the other general, just sitting in space, shooting down any ships that try to flee. So this attack is extremely well organized, just to cause as much terror as possible. So the Jedi push all the gas away. At one point, towards the end of it, Lorna D, that general that I mentioned, leading the ground attack, she fights Stellan. Stellan has 2 sabers, and she is still able to disarm Stellan and get past him. And she attempts to kill the Chancellor, because that was the whole point of this attack, is to show the Nile are not gone. There is no peace in the galaxy, and the pretty much Chancellor So they just want to kill. So I think this really backed up Lorna D really well, that she is very much a BA because she battles lots of Jedi in this single-handedly. So, but she's knocked down. The Nile flee, but Pan, the other general of the Nile, he sends bombs down and he shoots, pretty much just sends rockets down to the planet once the gas is clear, and he flees. So he's blowing up other Nile, and he almost attempts to kill Lorna D, the other general. So that's the attack on Valo. After Valo, the story keeps going, and Ro is not getting along with his three generals. Pan, who is like very much a forceful one, he wants control of the Nile. Well, Ro gets kind of sick of him, and he tries to kill Pan. What he does is he like injects the syringe into his neck. So Ro doesn't appear to have any abilities. He almost is like, I consider Ro to be like the Batman of this. He's always prepared. He has crazy weapons.
Yeah.
And
he's like the
sticks
dweeby guy that they don't expect anything from, but then he's sinister.
Because his dad was the boss, and he doesn't deserve to run the Nile. Well, he's very sinister, has all these tricks. So I was very mediocre on Marchion Ro, but once I kind of just considered him, okay, well, he's just an overpowered Batman with all these weapons. Then I started to like him. So he tries to kill Pan, and he leaves. Lorna saves Pan and keeps him alive, and then Lorna acts like, let's team up and kill Ro. So Lorna says, well, let's go meet out here. Pan shoots off into a random spot of space, and the Jedi are there waiting because the Jedi have intercepted comms from the other Nile. So they know that they're going to travel here. So Lorna D sends Pan out to pretty much get blown away by the Jedi. The Jedi destroy his ship, and everyone thinks Pan is dead, but he escapes through the paths, the way they travel through hyperspace. So everyone thinks Pan is dead, so he's gone. And let's see what else. Pan secretly escapes. D escapes.
Lorna D gets away.
Jedi, yeah, she gets away. The Jedi follow another Nile guy that they captured, who they let him go, and then he flees to their base planet. So the Jedi did it on purpose, so they follow him to the planet, and then the Jedi attack the Nile altogether. So it's revealed that Loden Greatstorm, my favorite character, he is still alive, and he's being tortured by Ro. So, and he escapes. It's also pretty crazy that at one point Ro cuts off his Leku.
He was captured at the end of the last book.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, you definitely got to know what's going on in Light of the Jedi. So Loden escapes with the help of, and I don't know if you guys know who Mary Santeca is. She's the one that gives, if you remember her name, she's the one that gives all the Nile their paths, which is the way they travel between hyperspace. So she helps him to escape, and it definitely seems like she has some force abilities because she gives strength to Loden. Bell arrives on this Nile planet, and Loden gets strength from Bell, and he's able to escape. So he's escaping, and while he's escaping, Marchion Ro releases the Leveler weapon. It's very unclear what this weapon is, but to me, I read it like it's an animal or a cloud or spirit or something like that, because in the book it talks about from its point of view. So it's kind of moving it out. So Ro releases the Leveler, which is a weapon against a weapon against any Force users, whether it be dark or light. So the Jedi, they all get super sick. They can't focus. Lots of ships crash. Lots of people almost, he just uses it to get away. And he's able to call the Leveler back to him. But while the Leveler is attacking, shockingly, like the very last page, the Leveler destroys and kills Loden Greatstorm. Unfortunately, my favorite character. So, and that's the big thing at the end of the book. Like the very last page is they find Loden, and he's pretty much half turned to stone, half turned to ash. And at the very last line is, for the first time in his life, Stellan Gios feels fear. So it just shows that the Nile did exactly what they wanted to do to show how powerful they were within that story. So there's a lot more that happens, but that's kind of
into dust, huh? Right.
Yeah. So they kills Loden, and it's the Leveler. There's a lot more in between. But yeah, that's kind of the broad census of it is, they have all this stuff. They attack Valo. They try to get away, and they unleash the Leveler, and it kills them. And the comics are following up and all that stuff. So that's the short, abridged version of that book.
Yeah, this book had a lot more like action than the previous ones had. Like that fair scene is like the majority of the book, and that's where all the action takes place.
Yeah, it's like 40 chapters.
I did like how they kept having Stellan teeter back and forth with the dark side. Like he was doing stuff he probably shouldn't, and like he speaks out of turn. Right?
I mean, Elzar.
Right, that was Stellan, right? No.
Stellan is the guy in the High Council. Elzar is the one.
Yeah.
Elzar's the one that
Elzar,
he tried hitting on Avar Kriss,
Yeah.
and he got turned down, and he's like super sour about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Stellan's the very uppity. I follow all the rules. I get chosen
that's
because I'm just a nice guy. I'm not a really big fan of Stellan. He's like mediocre. So in this book, I was kind of bummed that he had so much focus. And my three favorite characters, Loden Greatstorm, Elzar Mann, and Avar Kriss, are barely featured at all. So, but the scene with Loden and Bell was so amazing. Like when Loden jumps out of the building and Bell catches him, which is a great callback to Light of the Jedi, when Bell is training and he can't land from super high heights. And Eb damn near teared up in the book of Light of the Jedi when he was like, I trust you, you can do this. And he jumps out and he's able to land on his feet to go save people. He just eliminated all the fear in his mind. And now you have in this book, Loden jumping out of like a skyscraper and Bell catching him to say like, listen, I can do this. And then it turns around and then Loden dies, which was just absolutely mouth dropping to have such a major character, come back and then get killed.
Yeah, I like the whole beginning of the book where it was mostly about Bell, and he like nearly died like 4 times, like trying to save everyone.
Yeah, he did. He was almost sucked out into space. He's almost drowned. I think he said he had like surgery in his stomach. He was coming out of a bacta tank. So yeah, he was definitely the beaten down hero that kept coming back for the fight. So he definitely did really good.
Well, the thing about these books, like anybody can die, So like there was the point where like Bell got seriously injured. I'm like, oh, they're killing him off, and now I'm finally starting to like this guy.
Yeah, that's
really
my concern with all these phases is, are they introducing all these younger characters because there's going to be time jumps. There has to be. I mean, that's how we get so close. I mean,
so during this time of this book, Yoda's absent because he took off with Elder Tromac, right? So they don't really know where he's at. Is that going on?
Yeah, he's gone, and I find it interesting because in the comics, Yoda finds part of the leveler. I believe it's a 2-part piece. So at the beginning of the books, Martian Row has the leveler, and in the Rising Storm, he finds it seems like the other section. It's the purple weapon that they keep talking about.
Yeah, the purple thing.
In the comics, Yoda finds it, and he's very interested in it, and then they never talk about it again for like 10 more issues.
Doesn't Martian Row get it in the comic, right? That they show him finding the last piece, right?
Not what he found in the Rising Storm. In the comic, that has him finding the first piece.
The first piece, okay.
Yeah, it's the purple weapon because it gives off a purple view. And I think
it was really vague of what it was. Like,
yes,
even in the book.
Yeah, it is. So that's
I was
why
confused what's going on there. Yeah,
that's why I was hoping the comic maybe gives more image to it. But the way that the Nihil are amassing weapons is amazing. So now they have this leveler, which can stop any folks.
And the other weapon too, that
the nullifier.
The nullifier, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty crazy.
Yeah, so they have this lady who. So I brought up the defense force because there's a senator who doesn't believe the Jedi should be fighting the army, and he wants to start a galactic size, military funded by all the planets, not just depend on the Jedi. So he meets up with this character called Mentessa. Mentessa has a weapon that disables lightsabers. So it's turns off lightsabers. At one point, Ty York attempts to kill Stellan Gios, and her lightsaber deactivates, and she just stabs him in the chest with the lightsaber hilt. Because hers has like knives on it. So now the Nihil, so it's revealed that Mentessa's the mom, but then it's revealed that Mentessa was killed, and it was the child. I don't have the kid's name. It was her kid that invented this weapon. And it was like a really big kind of thing that said like pretty much a computer-sized device that would nullify everything. But the problem is it uses a certain type of material that is super radiation. It's very dangerous. And even turning it on, the guy's like, wait, this has radiation in it? We can't use this. And the guy gets really mad for the defense fund guy. He's like, we can't use this. Well, at the end of the book, a big character turn was that daughter who was all for the Jedi the whole time. She approaches the Nile and she has a bracelet size nullifier. So that's again like they are amassing all these weapons and they are going to wreck shop on the Jedi at some points, whether it be Fallen Star or what. But now they have, you can't fight him with a Force ability, and he disables all lightsabers. So Martian Rose about to be untouchable as far as Jedi users go. But also I worked down all the things. This book had a lot of what's coming in the future of Star Wars as far as, what we see in the original trilogy. This book has a lot of. So it introduces walkers. It has experimental walkers.
Oh yeah, that's right. It did, yeah, because there was a scene where the Chancellor was climbing up one of the walkers to get to safety. Yeah, and it was like
to try to get
described as a tank. Yeah.
Yeah, they say it gets above the gas cloud, so we know it's a big walker. So they're introducing walkers. During the gas attacks, Stellan, I can't remember if it's Stellan, it has to be Stellan because he's on the council. He says, "Why don't all Jedi wear breathers?" So it's the Nile that pretty much forced the Jedi to always carry rebreathers, which is what we see in the prequel trilogy when they just pull these things out of their pockets and they jump in the water and they're able to breathe. Yeah. So it's little tie-ins like that I personally love, because it's just like, well, why would you carry this breather around? Well, 200 years ago, they were attacked with gas and all this, and they fall underwater. And if they just carry rebreathers, then everything's fine. So I think
the thing that stuck out to me was that there's, the Defense Council thing, they're trying to get an army for the Republic, and the Republic is still like, no, we don't need an army,
Yeah,
like we
exactly.
Have the Jedi
they're depending. Light of the Jedi shows the Jedi first getting involved in pretty much galactic things, and they have a big vote, and it's like, well, is it not our job to uphold peace? So in times of battle, should we not go? And it's literally like almost a Supreme Court, like it wins by one vote to get involved in the war. But then, at first I was kind of concerned about the character. It's like Tia Toon or something, who's saying we need a defense force fund. We should not depend on the Jedi. Yeah. And at first I'm like, oh, he's got some, evil intentions. And he didn't. Yeah, and he didn't. He's like, no, legitimately, I don't think it's your role. He's like, I support the Jedi. You should not be fighting our battles. So this is just the precursor for pretty much the Empire. They're like, they have a giant fund for everything.
Although we still heck of a lot of years to go, haven't we, until we get to that?
Yeah. So they got 200 years. They introduced scav droids. So this is the first time they have scav droids from, they just fly out and they tear apart ships in the prequels.
Oh,
they have that.
Episode 3.
Also, it seems like the way they hyperspace jump is introduced in this, because up until the Nile, they were not able to approach a planet for like 100 light years or something like that. They weren't able to get anywhere near a planet for the fear of destroying it. Well, because of the Nile and their paths, they're able to jump within atmosphere, and everybody's like, that's just not possible. That's why nobody believes the Nile is real, because they're like, it's not possible to hyperspace jump within the atmosphere of a planet. And we see it, in New Hope, where they pretty much appear right within moon distance of a planet.
Well, they leave from Tatooine hyperspace jumping, right? And the docking bay. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you're coming in hyperspace, so they're like, the theory at this point in the books is it's not possible to get that close to the planet without striking the planet. So the Nile technology has to expand, the way the galaxy sees everything at one point, because they jump from one city to the next. The way they use paths is they travel within the atmosphere, and they just appeared in Valo. They just appeared in the sky. So looking up and they're there, and that's not possible. So I think their technology and the way the series is explaining hyperspace is very interesting.
Well, and I'm interested to hear what, given that this is the first either Tony or Ron have heard about any of this, and I imagine it must be very hard to digest as well, who's who and that kind of stuff. But there are some concepts you can get your head around it a bit. I'm wondering what Tony and Ron are thinking of what you just explained.
I think Ron took
just doing an info dump.
I'm just it's a lot of information, but I'll say this. I mean, it really sounds very interesting. And it just makes me want to.
Yeah, and there's like tons of stuff that didn't even get mentioned. Like
Yeah,
that
I
book
can
is like
imagine.
so
But I
much
mean,
stuff.
even as
in
it is, I'm like, man, that's like a lot of stuff. But
Yeah.
again, like I'm I don't know, 3-4 books or whatever it is behind. I started the Light of the Jedi. Is that the first one?
Yeah, that's where
Yeah,
you're
it's
like
like-
kind of
Yeah,
introduced to everybody.
yeah, like I got about halfway through that one, but then I know there's like the junior novels, the young adult novels, and then now there's this other one. There's been comics. So like, yeah, I mean, I know there's like a bunch of stuff going on, and some of the names, I'm familiar with, and some of the concepts, but yeah, I mean, it does sound really interesting. It's like I really need to focus and get in there and read all this.
Well, if Light of the Jedi is like A New Hope, this one is like Empire Strikes Back. It's
Yeah, because they lose. The good
Yeah.
guys lose.
Right.
And I think the other thing
So
that's, again, tying between series is they invent hyperspace detection in this book. So this random alien says like, well, since we can't detect Nile coming in, I've invented hyperspace detection. He ends up dying in the book. So it's almost like the technology is lost again. But we see that in Rogue One, where it's like we're sensing something coming out of hyperspace.
Yeah.
So it's little things like that I super appreciate, because who would have thought to care to explain that? But then you now have in the book, this is where hyperspace detection came from. And I found it funny that
Yeah, 'cause
the
they use that
innovator
like in
ship
every
that they
movie in
built-
the OT, where it's like,
Yeah,
oh, there's 5 ships coming out.
Yeah, so it was invented here. And I found it funny that they were using insects to build this giant innovator ship, much
Yeah.
like they used insects to build the Death Star. I'm like, okay, I guess everyone just uses insects for all this slave labor.
That's interesting. It wasn't the same. It wasn't the same race, right? The what are they
Geonosians.
called? The Geonosians.
No, they're Cyclorians. No, they are like bugs. I think they explained more like beetles, but they had giant bug eyes and stuff like that. And one of them was the lead scientist who designed the innovator and designed hyperspace detection, but he was killed in the attack. So,
Yeah.
But again, I was like, oh, you're just using bugs again. Okay, I guess bugs are a good
Well,
word.
it kind of makes sense, right? Because bugs work with kind of that hive mind mentality, like bees, and so I think it's probably like something that's native to most of the insect species, right? To work that way, so they probably make good laborers for that reason, I would imagine.
And if they're sentient, then it's like, we just need work to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So which
My
book,
take,
have
Stephen?
you
My take,
enjoyed
Stephen?
more?
Let's hear what Ron has to say.
Yeah, Ron.
Ron's take.
Short and sweet. That's why I like my Star Wars on screen.
I knew you were gonna say that.
It's just it's a lot of info, whatever. But it sounds like an interesting story, very well weaved story being told there of some sorts, whatever. And like you says, the small little callbacks, the tie-ins, that we detect something dropping out of hyperspace, those types of things are very, very cool. That the author takes the time and utilizes
They
those
definitely are
and drops
taking
them
their
in.
time.
That's kind of that's well done versus just getting something out there just to have something to be sold or whatever. So it sounds like it, but boy, yeah, it is a lot of info you're dropping there for.
I mean, it's
that one book?
several hundred page book.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
I really hope
I have
there's at least an animated cartoon of the High Republic at some point in time, just to help other people get like Ron get into it a bit quicker and fill him in quick, because obviously any anime series is would probably tell this story in a shorter space of time as well. But yeah, it'd be really good because that would get other people into it. And then as they go the other way, they go, oh, this is I really enjoy this cartoon. I really need to now to read the books and find out all these other bits that happened. I'm really hoping there is something animated that would help even myself and Ryan and Ricky who read the books. It would really help us as well, because not this stuff is in our imagination. We don't know what some of these people look like or sound like officially, and there's so many different names thrown around. It's hard to keep. It's really hard to keep yourself working out who everybody is. So yeah, I think something animated would help a lot of people.
Yeah, they usually don't animate stories that are told, though. They'll animate or do stories in between stories. Like once something is told, they're not going to be like, okay, we'll just kind of do that again.
I mean, they might do like
So-
another side story, maybe like a little, something that goes on in between. I don't know, but there's so much that they're filling in with the comic books now, though. So it's kind of
and it seems like
Ryan, I had a question, because I was catching up on the comic books last couple of days. there's a time jump between the IDW comic, right? Because when we first meet Zine and Crix, is that the kid's name? The one that goes with Marchion?
Yeah, I think so.
They look like little kids, and then I went to go read issue 8, I think it was, and like they're like full-grown teenagers now.
Well, it's an art style change.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, I noticed that right away. They like super tall.
They're older. Yeah, and
it's
he's
definitely
older.
an art style. So
I was
they
thinking, well, maybe
definitely
that
made them
issue.
all seem older.
I didn't know if that was like the year between the book jumps and the year, maybe the comics jumped a year too, but they grew like double their size.
Well, because they introduced Ram
Yeah.
from Race to Crash Point Tower,
Yeah.
and that happens during Rising Storm, and then he in the book goes to join the team, and then in this comic he joins the team, so it can't
Yeah.
be more than a month max. But I think it's just the way that the style is, which is an
That's
okay
true, yeah,
style,
that's
but I love the story being told in those
Oh,
comics.
the whole timeline is another thing as well. And with different comics and different books and stuff, trying to get that around your head around that is another thing as well. Letting down all the names and planets and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, believe me, it's a lot to follow.
It is a lot to follow. Even for us who are reading it, it reminded me that I recorded from the Audible book, The Rising Storm, the Ricky and Ryan will remember that in there's an anthem written for the Republic Fair, a song.
I haven't heard
It's played out. It's played out at the fair. And also in the book, you don't hear it, but in the Audible, they actually go the full hog. The chap sings it. And it's
Really?
very
Wow.
akin. It's very akin to Disneyland and It's a Small World. Like once you heard it, you wish you never heard it. So I recorded it off the Audible, and I thought I've got to play it for you guys just so you can suffer it as much as I have to. But here we go. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my God, yeah, I did. What was
It's not
that?
starting great. It's
Yeah.
not starting
Just leave
great.
it there, the teaser for next month's Senate. Oh my. All right, go. Oh,
It's
jeez.
a whole 35 seconds.
This is
of
not going to go the
goodness.
way you think it's going to go.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
exactly. Hold on.
Okay.
Right, listen to the words. It's very corny as well. Here we go.
We are one, we are many, we are me, we are you. So much joy, so much love, so much peace, it is true. From distant worlds, distant planets, we stand together and sing. The future's bright and united, let the galaxy ring.
Wow, Steven.
I
Loop.
play again then. I won't.
Wow.
I remember-
And you were,
I remember
not, you
in
were
the-
not embarrassed to record yourself singing that, Steven. Wow, that's impressive.
I was going to say it sounded like Steven singing.
Steven,
Yeah.
send me that clip,
Well, it's
and
not-
then I'll do a remix on it. I'll put a beat behind it.
I-
We'll do dubstep Republic Fair song.
So Ryan and Ricky have only seen it written down in the book. Was that anything like you imagined?
I know they in the book they mentioned it was very repetitive and like kind of annoying. They're like,
Annoying,
this
yeah.
dang tune keeps playing everywhere. It's driving me crazy. And now I could totally see, Elzar walking through town like, I'm just going to use the dark side and like, kill everybody with this tune going everywhere. But yeah, that's very
And it
funny.
doesn't help that I just watched the Lord of the Rings and I just picture like Pippin reading it or singing. What is that?
I was trying to find a buzzer sound, a gong show effect sound, or otherwise. Yep, get him off the stage. The poor
You just,
author,
took yourself out of your
Audible,
misery.
or not the author, but the Audible, guy reading it, he's got no direction for what although it does sound like the book said it was annoying and whatever, but he has no direction for what the song is supposed to sound like whatsoever, right?
No,
so it's totally
no,
making that up
making that
on
up.
his own.
Making it up, yeah.
So, yeah, brave individual to record that indeed, and then explain the context there again. This is some song the Republic was trying to.
So it's for the
ingratiate-
Yep, it's
Yes,
for
it's-
the Republic Fair. It's a song for the Republic Fair.
The Chancellor's
So
trying to
they could-
unite everyone to join the Republic, so that's why they're making these outposts on the Outer Rim. But there's like a lot of planets, like Ahsoka's planet, where the Togrutas come from. They don't want anything to do with the Republic at this point. So she's trying to invite everybody, even the ones that don't like the Republic, to this fair. She made little replicas of their planets so people can like kind of exchange cultures and stuff like that. And she made the song to like unite everybody to, kumbaya,
Yeah,
kind of
that's
thing.
not going to do it.
I picture it like in Shrek when Lord Farquaad has that little box of like the dancing little figures. I picture it like that. Just this ridiculous song that just annoys people, but just shows how great everything is and how fantastic it is.
Please stay off the grass. Wipe your feet. Wipe your shoes.
I just immediately just thought of It's a Small World, and when I went to Euro Disney, I went up there with my sister. We went through It's a Small World ride for all this little enclosed sort of cabin kind of thing, and seen all these little small animated models and stuff, and things moving and singing. That whole song playing for a whole 10 minutes. It's a small.
That's kind of like my favorite ride at Disneyland. Those days.
I was almost driven nuts. And that's the whole song I could hear for the next few days afterwards kept going on through my mind. I thought, this reminds me of that. I would want to shoot anybody singing it, really.
No, every time I go to Disneyland, I have to ride Small World. That's like one of my favorites.
Yeah, no, that's a good analogy, Stephen. I could see, especially the way he sung it or whatever, and the way the book sort of sounded like it was describing it being a repetitive, annoying thing that, it would equate to something similar to that. It's a Small world.
It's going to make war, not peace, isn't it? That song, hearing that all day. Everybody's to start having arguments with each other. Shut up, hang up. But it was fun. And I have to say, I really appreciate the amount of work and energy that the narrator has on these Audible books. You know, to do all these voices, which they've managed to keep consistent, of course, all the High Republic books, which helps. And then to actually sing that, I mean, he probably thought, "Oh my God, I can't." But then he thought, "Hang on a minute, I'm being paid for this." So I'm sure he's done worse.
Makes me jealous. I can't do the audiobooks. Dang.
Well, there we go. That's what you're missing out on.
Yeah, I was just trying to sing that song in my head. It just does not do it purpose as that does. So. Well played. Thank you, Steve.
Needed investigative reports. Wonder if the Audible guy, reaches out to the author at all to say, how did you envision this song to go? Or is it totally made up on his own? It could be our first positively Star Wars Senate podcast interview, is to try to track the Audible guy down and find out, is it totally made up on your own? Did you have any insight into that? And my goodness, you're a brave individual for recording that.
Well, I think
putting it down for all to hear.
I think that's a job for Ricky. You could treat him with a PSW.
Did you come up with the melody?
Mark Thompson, ask him about that.
Was it Mark Thompson?
It Mark Thompson, wasn't it?
Oh, was it?
I think it's Mark Thompson.
He does them all, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's right. That's the name I recognize.
Done, yeah. But even in the one I was listening to, which wasn't him, the voices were still consistent with what he'd done. So they must be talking to each other.
All right, I'm gonna tweet at Mark Thompson and ask him how that all happened.
I'll post the Audible in the messenger chat, and you can post the Audible in the treat.
What was your inspiration?
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, guys. Well, we've come to the end of our time here now. I
covered a wide range of Star Wars eras here.
Oh, we certainly have. Yeah, from Obi-Wan to briefly about Boba Fett, but really there isn't really much more to say about it. But hopefully, come December next month, we will know a bit more about the Book of Boba Fett, which is starting just after Christmas. So,
that'll probably be January.
We'll have more to talk about that, I would imagine, next month as well. I'm not sure what else is happening between then now. Well, we always find stuff to talk about, don't we?
Well, this episode's probably going to come out around Life Day, so happy Life Day. Watch that holiday special.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. Well, thanks very much, everybody. I shall leave you all to get back to the depressing real world. And for all those listening online or on your favourite podcast app, we will be back.
We are exactly, yeah. That should be our outro. That should be our outro.
That could be our outro.
Oh, jeez.
We will be back next month.
We are the planet.
2 weeks' time.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic Senate, y'all.
May the force be with you.
Cheers.
We're doing this all day now. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
Go switch off. I am the Senate.
The Force
where things. I did read all the comics last night, so I think I'm only behind on the last two of the full series of the main one. Which I don't know. The story kind of changed, so I'm really not interested.
I forgot to catch up on the. No, I don't. No, I think I am up to date on the IDW one.
Yeah, that one I think I'm.
Well, apart from the latest two, but are they out? Or they're not? I can't remember. I read them.
I think no. There's the latest two aren't out yet because I
got the email saying they were imminent. I think.
Yeah. Because I went because I created an account for Comixology so I can read all these because it's just impossible for me to go try to find them at my comic book shop or have a box there because I never go.
I don't even know what comic. Oh no, the next ones are due out on the 17th.
Yeah, and I think on the other one just came out on the 11th or something like that, the 10th, and that because that one I don't know, that one the story kind of changed now, so I'm like I don't know if I'm gonna.
Oh, you mean the main sort of what I call the main High Republic comic? Yeah, I don't know why I call it the main one because
the whole undercover thing now, and I'm like I don't know, but I mean I'm waiting for those to. On Comixology, they're like $3 whatever, but like after like a month they go down to like $1 or something. So I'm kind of just waiting. But yeah, no, I went and bought. I was trying to see if there was another one of those Trail of Shadows ones, but I guess that one doesn't come out till next week. So
that's the last one then in that series, I think.
Yeah, there's only the one so far.
It's only 4. Oh, sorry, no, I'm getting confused. Yeah.
That's one with the detective.
I read the first one in Trail of the Shadows. Yeah, it's the last one of the monster of Temple Peak.
Yeah, I have number 2 here. I was reading it last night. I didn't finish the second one, but it didn't seem like it was really connected to anything. So
the monster one, I don't think is you could really not read. I think and wouldn't miss out on much.
I'm gonna have to ask Ryan when that one takes place because it's like I was kind of confused. I don't know if it's
which one is that?
The Monster at Temple Peak.
Which one is that? When does it take place?
Yeah, is it before Rise of
It's definitely before.
No, it's after.
Battle, right?
It's directly after. It's after a day after or less.
How come I remember in the book that she goes back with the Jedi?
Hang on a minute.
Who's that?
Ty
Yorick.
I don't remember her in Monster Peak. Was she in Monster Peak?
Isn't she
the main Monster Peak?
She's the main character. She's the main character, isn't she?
She's in Rising Storm. She's the main one that was helping what's his face. She was
Elzar. I thought you were talking about Trail of Shadows.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Oh yeah. No.
No, hang on. No,
I don't think she's in Trail of Shadows.
No. I was telling Steven that I was catching up on all the comics last night.
Oh, I'm so confused now. I know. I thought, hang on a minute. No, hang on. No. Oh, I give up. I don't know why it's so difficult to keep up with all these books and comics. I don't know why.
Because there's a lot of them.
I went to my comic book shop yesterday, and they had a whole like spinny rack of War of the Bounty Hunters, and it had a chart showing you which ones. And like there's just so many different issues. I'm like, I'm not gonna start reading.
This is when I start to feel that Ron's got the right idea by just ignoring books and comics. It makes your brain doesn't have to explode so much.
Yeah, they had a little chart showing like, okay, this one came out first, and then you read this one, and then like, no, there's too many.
So Monster on Temple Peak that takes place between Light of the Jedi and Rising Storm.
Okay, that's what I assumed.
That makes
because it didn't.
I checked.
Still hiding from Jedi.
I checked the first page of the comic, and it says after the Great Disaster, and then Chancellor So is preparing for the fair on Valo. So it happens before Rising Storm.
That sort of confirms that. Yes.
Hello and good morning, gentlemen.
Greetings and salutations.
Every time I log into Comixology, I can't remember if I created a Amazon logon or a Comixology logon. I have to keep remembering every time.
If only there was a handheld device that could capture all sorts of disparate information to help you with such endeavors.
Yes.
And allow you to communicate with people and entertain.
I sent some sarcasm there.
With a battery life that lasted weeks upon... Okay, I'm getting crazy here. That's my biggest hang-up with smartphones these days. I don't need any more bells. I don't need any more whistles. I don't need a better camera. I need a battery that charges overnight and lasts for, a month, a week, something more than what it does now. They have gotten better, but geez, come on. Build that better mousetrap, and Microsoft, you might actually get people to switch to your phones.
You know how like on movies they show people like running from some kind of danger and they have their phone. my movie would be like 20 minutes long because my phone would just die.
Yeah. If I cranked my brightness and truly turned up everything that I don't have turned down in order to, maximize it or whatever, right? It wouldn't last like it's supposed to.
How are you doing,
really?
Tony?
Oh yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Sorry guys, I was.
Oh no, it's all right. No, it's
I
all right.
signed in and I was in the middle of something else. But yeah, no, I'm good. How is everybody?
Fine, thanks. Good to have you here.
Yeah, it's good to be. I haven't been on Facebook too much lately, so that's why you haven't heard too much from you. But
I never go on there anymore either.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah. I mean, I just I don't know. The past couple of months, I've kind of signed out of there. I'll pop in here and there, but as you've seen, I haven't been in the chat at all. Just been busy with other things, but here I am. Not gonna miss this if I am able to.
Talking all about the holiday special.
Hey, that was like a year ago, right?
Yeah.
You guys watched it?
Yeah.
I was so pumped for that one last year, and then I ended up having to miss it. I was bummed about that.
All right, we didn't end up releasing it as an episode, anyways.
Oh, we didn't?
No.
It wasn't. Wait, it didn't meet.
Well, I missed a holiday special one.
Yeah, I can't do this with a straight face. It didn't meet our high quality top standards.
I remember we had a bunch of issues, and then we just kept going off topic and talking about personal stuff. So,
it wasn't worthy. All right, yeah. All right. Well, then that secretly sounds like Ricky's ploy to get us to do that again.
Yeah, it was mostly for my birthday. So holiday special.
But no, yeah, we have some new senators, or whatever. That could be an interesting.
I don't know if I could put Steven through that again.
Well, yeah, and subject myself to it likewise. But should we ever need a month to have some content, or whatever? But I suspect, given the release of things and what's coming for us, or whatever, we're going to be good for a while.
I hope so. That'd be awesome.
Could see where we could get to it twice a month or something.
I don't know what will be next month though, because we're still before Boba, aren't we? Next month, so in January we'll have.
I'm just waiting for some Star Wars stuff that's more than a minute or 10 minutes long.
Totally.
Everything's been so short, but it's fine. I guess we'll wait till the TV show. I wonder how long Boba Fett's going to be. If it's going to be 20 minutes or. Because Mando was 25.
45.
Right?
Yeah, Mando
It'll
was
probably
short.
be the same like Mando.
Yeah.
I wonder how many episodes though. That's what I'm wondering.
1.
If he dies in the first episode again, he just falls back at the start.
Mandalorian will be 8 episodes. Season 3, it'll be 8 episodes.
8 episodes.
I wonder if that Sonic pit still exists. I imagine if he did get, when it obviously did get out of it, I imagine he would have blown it to smithereens afterwards.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Yeah.
Although it wasn't the Sarlacc
Also,
ball,
I find
right?
it when you talked about episodes, I find it interesting that Mandalorian season 3 is 8 episodes, but Andor is 12 episodes. So I'm not sure if it's a runtime thing or they just have more story to tell with Andor.
Or it's easier to have somebody that doesn't have a giant armor suit on.
When I heard 8 episodes, I too thought that was interestingly short, small. Seems like they got a lot of, but maybe to spread it out over multiple seasons. But yeah, interesting that Andor would have 12. But you got a lot more. You don't have any backstory. You got a huge, right? Don't you have a huge canvas to play with? Versus Boba Fett, you're somewhat constrained, right? You're somewhat limited in the canvas that you can play with of where you can go or stories to tell, or you're just constrained with Boba Fett. Whereas Andor's got a lot more, has the potential for a lot more freedom to some extent.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just a backstory. So, I mean, but he still has to get to the same spot because we know his end. So now we just got to know about
get to
his smuggling past. Where Mandalorian, it's literally blown open and we have no idea what he does for the next 25 years. So.
Touche. Yeah. So right, he could. Well, but he's not involved in anything. But he doesn't need to be involved in anything future-wise. Doesn't need to be in the sequel trilogy involvement universe at all.
Yeah.
That's probably why we'll watch the show. to see what they in fact do with him.
I still find it a surprising character to do an entire 12 episode series on. I'm very surprised that it was him, but it's Star Wars, so I'll be watching.
So is Andor officially the title, or is that potentially I'm just spitballing, right? Is that potentially a holding title so that we know what it's?
No, I think that's the actual title.
That's
I think
confirmed
that's
or released.
Yeah, when Disney released their 2022
thing,
slate
yeah.
for Disney, they call it Andor.
And right, what? Yeah, it's about the So it's going to be about that era,
But
but about the
Obi-Wan,
character,
is that called Obi-Wan Kenobi now, or is it just Kenobi, or is it just Obi-Wan?
I think it's just
Kenobi.
Obi-Wan, isn't it?
Oh,
is
it said
it
Obi-Wan Kenobi on the Disney Plus thing.
Did it? I didn't
Yeah.
notice that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have the full thing, and even in the release slate, they call it Obi-Wan Kenobi, not just
I mean,
Ben.
this is super nerdneck or whatever, but right, it shouldn't be because he doesn't Obi-Wan. I haven't gone by that for a long time. So, but I think for the masses, they need to call it Kenobi just to get the lay fan to understand, because old Ben just isn't gonna
Unless this is the story of him like not using the name anymore.
show
Like, I
about
kinda
Rice.
stopped
Well, yeah,
calling myself-
there's that for sure. I had a
I want to see his thinking. I'm like, you know what? Instead of Obi-Wan Kenobi, I think I'll go Ben Kenobi. And I want to see his thinking like that. Nobody will make those connections.
Not
A
the first
robot
time he.
chicken
Oh wait,
connection,
never
yeah.
mind. I was gonna say something, but I'm gonna spoil it for Ryan.
It probably. I'm surprised
Clone Wars
everyone didn't think about putting a pair of glasses on, because that worked for Clark Kent for a long time. Disguise, isn't it?
Glasses in Star Wars, blasphemy.
Have we seen anybody
the
wearing
cloner
glasses?
has them. The cloner has them.
Yeah, the clone guy.
Yeah,
does.
you're right. Yeah, true. Yeah, is that the
Maz
first?
kinda does.
Is that the first evidence of general of glasses in Star Wars, apart from when stormtroopers and helmets and that kind of stuff?
Holiday special, Wilford Brimley dude, Sickle,
Roger
or whoever that
Corman.
guy. Yeah. No, was it Harvey? Was it
Yeah,
the old
Harvey
guy?
Corman, whatever. Like, oh, the guy that owned the shop. Well, we gotta watch it again because we just don't remember.
Yeah, I don't think it was Harvey. Anyway, there's somebody in the holiday special, the reviled holiday special that had glasses on.
Yeah, who was the main guy that was in there? It wasn't Roger. Roger Corman was the chef lady.
It was Art Carney.
Art Carney.
Art Carney, yeah, that's my Wilford Brimley guy. Sorry, Art.
Yeah, I was since you said Wilford Brimley, I kept thinking. I was like, wait, Wilford Brimley was in.
It's not. I knew it wasn't, but I knew it was an old salt Hollywood guy like that, and couldn't pull it.
Yeah, it's Art Carney.
There
was a guy in the Clone Wars that had glasses. He was. It was that one guy. I don't remember right now what he did. He was the guy that had that like the Lobot gear, if you remember that. And I think he was one of the separatists. And I don't remember what else about him. I can picture him, but I don't remember what his storyline was. But he had glasses and he had like the Lobot head thing.
I want to say people in what do you call it? Canto Bight had those little glasses that they held with their hand.
Monocles.
Yeah.
Readers or cheaters to see a card or something. Yeah.
The ones you, like at a horse race.
Does this mean that everybody in Star Wars has got 20/20 vision, or they all got really good contact lenses?
LASIK is free. I don't know.
They got that Empire Healthcare.
Yes. Yeah, that's probably it.
That, or you just have no eyes and you're blind. Or
Palpacare, as they call it in the Empire. Very good. Okay, well, I think we've got. we're all we're going to get, aren't we, today?
What you mean? We're wrapping up? That's it? That's all we get?
No, that's not it. No, I mean, that's it. We've got all the people we're going to get, I think, this month. So.